Chapter 779. Long Yu stepped into the illusion realm of the Five Emperors, and what appeared in front of him was an empty and flat ice field. A violent snowstorm swept in all directions, as if it wanted to completely tear the world apart. Before long, Yu could steady himself. A bunch of ice arrows shot toward him from behind. Merak steps. Long Yu subconsciously moved his feet, and with a casual flash, he dodged the ice arrow. Then, he turned around and saw an Ice God Clan's beast. It had the appearance of a hexagonal ice crystal, and it was floating in the air, absorbing the dense energy of the Ice God runes in the surroundings. It was also attacking him. Five-path Ice God Clan exotic beasts. Long Yu frowned slightly. This opponent was not difficult for him, but the illusion realm of the Five Emperors, although it was only the first level, couldn't be so simple, right? Eye Shadow. A third eye directly appeared on Long Yu's forehead. It was completely formed from darkness attribute divine runes. A wisp of darkness attribute energy rippled outwards, allowing him to see everything within a radius of 1,000 feet. Sure enough, there are so many guys hiding. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Under the eye of Shadow, all the enemies around him seemed to have nowhere to hide. Just under the ice field around him, there were countless Ice God Clan exotic beasts hiding. Although these Ice God Clan exotic beasts only had the cultivation of the five-path divinity realm, their numbers were extremely terrifying. Let's try to kill this one first. For the time being, there was only one Ice God Clan exotic beast on the ice field attacking Long Yu. Long Yu constantly used the Merak steps, approaching the opponent with great agility. The Ice God Clan exotic beast seemed to feel the tyrannical strength of Long Yu, and while condensing ice arrows, it retreated and constantly urged the power of the Ice God characters, condensing an ice wall in front of Long Yu to block Long Yu's advance. Unfortunately, Long Yu's Merak steps could break through space, and a mere ice wall could not stop Long Yu's footsteps at all. Pooh! Long Yu wielded the Void Nether Dragon Blade and directly chopped the Ice God race exotic beast into two. He was well aware of the weakness of the Ice God Clan's exotic beast. Under the probing of balance control, he only needed a close-range attack to kill it completely. At the same time, he kept the Dark Shadow eye probing all the time. He immediately sensed that another Ice God Clan exotic beast had appeared on the other side. It broke through the thick ice layer and appeared on the ice field, launching an attack at him. There are at least tens of thousands of Ice God Clan exotic beasts under this ice field. If we kill them one by one like this, won't it be endless? This is only the first level of the Five Emperors fantasy world. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He knew that perhaps he should think of a way to force all the Ice God Clan's mutated beasts out of the ice plains, and then use a large-scale offensive martial technique to deal with them. But so what? Long Yu continued to use the Merak steps to avoid the attacks of the five Ice God Clan exotic beasts of the Divine Realm. Before coming up with a way to force all the Ice God Clan exotic beasts out, Long Yu did not want to kill this Ice God Clan exotic beast because it was useless. Once he killed one, another one would appear, and as he used the Merak steps again and again, Long Yu soon discovered the difference in the Five Emperors fantasy world. The power of the divine text in my body is almost not consumed at all. That is to say, in the Five Emperors fantasy world, I can fight without limit, and there will be no situation of power exhaustion. And every time I use the martial technique and divine power, I feel like I use it thousands of times at the same time, making my comprehension of this martial technique as fast as a meteor. This feeling, Long Yu once again used the Merak footwork, and the feeling suddenly became even more intense. It was as if he was using the Merak footwork here, and in another world, he was also using the Merak footwork at the same time, and this actually increased his understanding of the Merak footwork. Moreover, it was not just another world. Is this the Five Emperors fantasy world? Long Yu was quite shocked. In the Five Emperors fantasy world, the reason why the cultivation of the martial technique and divine power would be accelerated was because of this. When a cultivator entered the Five Emperors fantasy world, the Five Emperors fantasy world would divide the cultivator's soul imprint into thousands of parts, and they would be sent to different fantasy world. The scene in each illusory world was the same, and it was very difficult for the cultivator to sense that the soul imprint had been divided into thousands of parts. This was because although each illusory world was separate, a part of it was connected, and that connected part was the cultivator's soul imprint. In the Five Emperors fantasy world, the cultivator only needed to move his mind, and he could use any divine power or martial technique. It was equivalent to the cultivator using the same martial technique in thousands of fantasy worlds at the same time. As long as it was used once, it was equivalent to using it hundreds of times. Long Yu was shocked. This Five Emperors fantasy world was so heaven-defying. Then he had to grasp this opportunity better. As for how many fantasy worlds there were in the Five Emperors fantasy world, and how many parts the cultivator's soul imprint was divided into, Long Yu couldn't feel it. However, it didn't matter. What Long Yu needed to do was to use as many martial technique and divine power as possible, so that he could understand more martial technique and divine power. An opponent of Five Realms divine power is still too weak. Without a strong enough opponent to suppress me, even if my comprehension speed is hundreds of times faster, it won't be enough to make a breakthrough in my martial technique or divine power. I have to reach the next level as soon as possible. Long Yu thought in his heart, and he finally made up his mind. He condensed the power of the 9 nether divine characters in his body, and a 9 nether dragon breath was spewed towards the ice field under his feet. The terrifying power shattered the thick layer of ice field, and the entire ice field spread outwards. One after another, 5 realms divine power ice god clan strange beasts appeared from the broken ice field and attacked Long Yu almost at the same time. Fallen dark star. Long Yu raised his hand, and a small pitch-black light shield appeared in his palm. Then it flew out extremely flexibly, easily blocking the incoming ice arrows from the strange beasts. 5 realms divine power ice god clan strange beasts were too weak. Each of Long Yu's fallen dark stars could easily block hundreds of such ice arrows. Long Yu constantly condensed fallen dark stars, and soon there were more than 10 fallen dark stars flying around his body. Under the balanced control of his high-intensity perception, it was almost like a comprehensive defensive martial technique, completely blocking all the incoming ice arrows. If there was no balance control, Long Yu might have missed some attacks, but now no attack could get close to Long Yu's body. Kill. Under the protection of more than 10 fallen dark stars, Long Yu directly slashed at the 5 realms ice god clan strange beasts with a void nether dragon blade in his hand. In a situation where he didn't have to worry about getting injured, Long Yu didn't want to use other martial techniques at all, because he had to prevent accidents from happening. Since he could directly slash them with the void nether dragon blade, there was no need to use other martial techniques. Merak footwork and fallen dark star. These 2 martial techniques were rapidly improving under Long Yu's continuous use. The speed of his comprehension made Long Yu extremely happy. If his opponents were powerful King Realm, early stage, strange beasts, these 2 martial techniques might have all broken through by now. After all, the greater the pressure, the faster the improvement. Without facing pressure, Long Yu's speed of comprehension of martial techniques and divine abilities was not too fast. Under the slaughter of Long Yu with the void nether dragon blade, the 400 Ice God clan strange beasts were quickly killed. When all the Ice God clan strange beasts were killed by Long Yu, he still hadn't improved any of his martial techniques. Then, the scenery around him instantly changed from the shattered ice plains to a forest of stone pillars that reached into the clouds. My opponent this time is the Earth God strange beasts. Long Yu continued to use the Eye of Shadow. At this moment, he finally felt some changes in the Eye of Shadow that had been open all along. Has it broken through to the intermediate divine ability? The illusion realm of the 5 Emperors really lives up to its name. Long Yu was overjoyed, but he didn't let his guard down. He didn't know what kind of enemy would appear on the 2nd level of the 5 Emperors illusion realm. Holy city of the 5 Emperors, near the sacred tower. Millions of people were paying attention to the illusion realm battle of the five emperors. Although they couldn't see the specific battle scene of Long Yu and the others, they could roughly understand the situation. Black Knife is really powerful. In just 2 hours, he passed 5 levels and set foot on the 6th level. In my opinion, the strongest person in the five emperors illusion realm battle must be Black Knife. After all, he is the personal disciple of the demon emperor. There is no doubt that his strength is strong. Lei Emperor's personal disciple, Yi Wei, is also not bad. Although she isn't as fast as Black Knife, she is steady. Look, she also set foot on the 6th level. Look at that Long Yu. He stayed on the 1st level for so long and only set foot on the 2nd level. His martial Dao realm is really too low and his strength is not good enough. That's right. It seems that Long Yu is going to be at the bottom this time. He might not even be able to reach the 10th level. If that's the case, this kid will be out of luck. Outside the Sacred Tower, people from the Gongsun family and the Qin family were paying attention to Long Yu's situation. Seeing that he finally set foot on the 2nd level after such a long time, they couldn't help but sneer. Such a kid, with just a token from the Red Emperor, dares to show off in front of us? When this kid comes out, we will definitely teach him a lesson. Lan Shuyan has set foot on the 5th level. Although there is a gap compared to Black Knife and Yi Wei, compared to the others, he is much stronger. It seems that there is hope for him to set foot on the 20th level this time. The Qin family head, who was wearing golden armor, looked at the scene and was quite satisfied. If Lan Shuyan really became the personal disciple of the Flame Emperor, it was definitely a good thing for the Qin family. After all, his daughter was going to marry Lan Shuyan. As for the bet between Long Yu and Lan Shuyan, the Qin family head didn't care at all. That kid was only in the mystery realm. How could he be compared to young Master Lan Shuyan? It was like heaven and earth. Chapter 780. Eye of Shadow, Intermediate Tier God Art. Long Yu realized that after the Eye of Shadow broke through to Intermediate Tier God Art, the range it could detect had increased by more than 10 times, reaching a radius of 100 miles. This change made this God Art almost become another God Art, greatly increasing its effect. In this complicated stone forest, the effect of the Eye of Shadow was limitless. This was because there weren't many Earth God beasts in this stone forest, but the range was extremely vast. Within a radius of 100 miles, there are a total of 10 Earth God beasts, and they're all at the 6 divine abilities realm. So boring. Long Yu was a little disappointed. The 2nd level of the 5 Emperors illusion world seemed to be a test of the cultivator's perception. After his Eye of Shadow broke through to Intermediate Tier God Art, this level didn't have any challenge at all. Against the 6 divine abilities realm Earth God beasts, Long Yu could deal with them in a few moves. If he couldn't even comprehend the God Art, he would naturally be disappointed. Half an incense as time passed, and Long Yu had already killed all the stone Earth God beasts in the stone forest. Then, the scenery in front of him changed again, and he finally stepped into the 3rd level. This was an underground cavern with flames everywhere. It seemed to be under the crater of a volcano. Lava flowed in all directions, and the air was filled with a dry heat. A 7 divine tier fire god race exotic beast, whose entire body was made of flames, floated in the center of the entire underground cave, emitting endless heat. The temperature here can at least melt ordinary steel. If I didn't cultivate the Death Realm body refinement, I would definitely have to use a defensive skill to pass through. Long Yu thought, but now, the high temperature didn't pose any threat to him at all. Even if he was exposed in this space, the high temperature wouldn't hurt him at all. Eye of Shadow. Long Yu subconsciously used this God Art, and then realized that this underground cave was actually an unstable volcano cave. When he stepped on the ground, lava could erupt at any time. If he wasn't prepared, he could easily fall on this level. However, for Long Yu, with the Umbra Eye, he wasn't afraid of being sprayed by the magma that suddenly appeared. Step by step, Long Yu avoided the places that would erupt with magma and advanced towards the fire god race's exotic beast in the center. When he was less than 300 meters away from the fire god race's exotic beast, it finally started to attack. Roar! With a furious roar, beams of fire erupted from the fire god exotic beast's body, bombarding the area around Long Yu. The beast's target wasn't Long Yu, but the ground beneath his feet. If the ground suffered such a powerful attack, it would definitely erupt and erupt with terrifying lava, swallowing Long Yu whole. Merak's steps. Long Yu moved his feet slightly, and his figure moved forward at an incredible speed. As he took a step forward, a loud bang suddenly sounded in his mind. His understanding of the Merak steps had broken through to the Great Success stage. Merak Star Shadow. After breaking through to the Great Success stage, Merak steps could display the Merak Star Shadow. Not only could he instantly cross space and appear anywhere within 100 zhong, but he could also leave an afterimage in place to confuse the opponent. It was another nimble movement technique. Long Yu didn't use it for the time being. He just kept teleporting short distances, and soon he was within 50 zhong of the Fire God race exotic beast. However, at this time, the Fire God race's attack finally fell on the magma ground where Long Yu was originally, causing the magma to erupt. A terrifying heat wave instantly surged, and the magma exploded in all directions, sweeping towards Long Yu's back. Fallen Dark Star. With a thought from Long Yu, 3 fallen dark stars condensed at the fastest speed possible, directly blocking the 3 hottest clumps of magma and easily blocking them. As for the remaining magma flames, they engulfed Long Yu's entire body. With the cooperation of Balance Control and Fallen Dark Star, Long Yu blocked the 3 most threatening magma pillars, and the other attacks couldn't affect his strong physical body at all. The flames that covered the entire cave completely enveloped Long Yu. However, the next moment, a figure rushed out of the flames, and a dark blade with an awe-inspiring aura slashed down, directly cutting the Fire God race exotic beast into pieces. It's just a 7-path exotic beast. There's no need to tangle with it for too long. I should quickly go to a higher level and fight against opponents at the king level. Only then will I be able to break through and comprehend martial arts and divine abilities faster. Long Yu watched as the Fire God race exotic beast was cut into pieces by him, and the scene in front of him changed again. The 4th level. The 4th hour passed. Long Yu stepped into the 4th level, and this news made the people around the sanctum feel a little bad, especially the people of the Gongsun family. They were most concerned about whether Long Yu could step into the 10th level, because once Long Yu stepped into the 10th level, he would be protected by the alliance of 5 emperors, and they wouldn't be able to avenge their young master. Although Long Yu spent a lot of time on the 1st level, his speed of passing through the 2nd and 3rd levels wasn't slow, which directly made the people of the Gongsun family a little worried. As for the people of the Qin family and the Ninth Sun sect, although they were a little surprised that Long Yu's speed had increased, they weren't worried at all. This was because Lan Shuyan, the young genius of the Ninth Sun sect, had stepped into the 8th level after 4 hours, second only to Black Knife and Yi Ziwei on the 10th level. Lan Shuyan's talent was obviously not as good as Black Knife and Yi Ziwei. So for the Ninth Sun sect, as long as Lan Shuyan could keep up with the two, it would be a great success. Stepping into the 20th level was Lan Shuyan's biggest goal. Black Knife and Yi Ziwei are indeed the personal disciples of the Devil Emperor and Lei Emperor. Their speed of entering the illusion realm of the 5 emperors is even faster than the genius Yu Hanxin a few months ago. That's right. For months ago, Yu Hanxin spent 3 days and 3 nights before she finally set foot on the 28th floor. She's so talented that she's the envy of others. However, even with such talent, she still spent 6 hours on the first 10 floors. She's slower than He Dao and Yi Ziwei. You guys don't understand. The illusion realm of the 5 emperors isn't better as fast as possible. You should know that the greatest use of the 5 emperors' illusion realm is to improve the cultivator's martial techniques and divine abilities. If you want to make good use of the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, speed alone isn't enough. What do you know? Although the speed of climbing the illusion realm of the 5 emperors isn't much, the slower the speed, the weaker the cultivator is, and the more likely they are to be eliminated in the first 10 levels. Currently, none of the 14 people participating in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors have been eliminated, because these 14 people are all elites picked from all over Shenwu world, geniuses among geniuses. If they were eliminated so easily, they wouldn't have been able to obtain the Red Emperor badge. Xiao Xinghai, who also obtained the Red Emperor badge, is now on the 6th level. Although his speed isn't as fast as Lan Shuyan, he's more stable, using about the same amount of time to break through each level. The other person, Yin Wenyao, has been on the 5th level for quite a while, but it can be seen that he's also doing it with ease. Because from the crystal window on the 6th level of the Holy Tower, Yin Wenyao still isn't injured in the slightest. Those participating in the illusion realm battle of the 5 emperors are all peerless geniuses of Shenwu world's younger generation. None of them are easy to deal with. In comparison, Long Yu is the weakest one. Now that 4 hours have passed, he's only just reached the 4th level. Long Yu doesn't know what's going on outside, nor does he know what kind of discussions are going on about him. After killing the Fire God Race Beast, Long Yu arrived at the 4th level of the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, facing 3-7 Daos Thaumaturgy realm Ice God Race Beasts. These 3-7 Daos Thaumaturgy realm beasts aren't easy to deal with. Although they haven't reached King realm, these 3 beasts seem to be able to use some sort of joint attack that's so powerful that even a King realm combatant would have to avoid it. I'm a 5 Daos Thaumaturgy realm, so I'll be facing 7 Daos Thaumaturgy realm opponents on this level. I wonder what level the others will be facing. As Long Yu thought about it, he fought with ease. Against the Ice God Race Beasts, Fallen Dark Star has become Long Yu's most common defensive method, because the Ice God Race Beast's most common attack method is Ice Arrows, a bunch of Ice Arrows. To defend against this kind of attack that has a very strong penetrative power but a very small area of effect, Fallen Dark Star is definitely the most suitable defensive martial skill. There is no other. Combined with the martial arts secret technique balance control, these 3 Daos Thaumaturgy realm beasts won't be able to hurt Long Yu no matter how they attack. Long Yu's current Fallen Dark Star is enough to withstand the attack of a King realm mid-stage combatant. How could it be broken by Daos Thaumaturgy realm beasts? Fallen Dark Star, small success. After fighting for a while, Long Yu finally comprehended Fallen Dark Star to small success. Done. Long Yu narrowed his eyes, raised his hand, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade was unleashed. Space penetration. Puffed, puffed, puff. The pitch-black blade quickly penetrated the space, and the 3 Ice God Race Beasts were not able to defend themselves at all. Their vital parts were directly pierced, and the Ice Divine characters all over their bodies began to dissipate. Soon, they fell to the ice field dead. Fallen Dark Star is an ancient transcendent rank martial skill, and after learning it to small success, one can use a special method, Star Thread. Between any 2 Fallen Dark Stars, Long Yu can quickly connect them with the power of Shadow Divine characters, and then create a straight line of defense barrier. The defensive ability of Star Thread is not particularly strong, at least twice as strong as Fallen Dark Star, but it is still much more powerful than ordinary large-scale defensive martial skills. The most important thing is that using Star Thread does not consume much energy. The core of this defensive martial skill, Fallen Dark Star, is a powerful defense in a small area, but if one comprehended it to a certain level, it can also be used in a large area of defense, and in the later stages, it can even derive offensive methods. I'm looking forward to it more and more. Chapter 781. 5th level, 6th level, 7th level, 8th level. The next 4 levels that Long Yu went up were all beasts of the 7 paths of Divinity Realm. However, the number of beasts increased with each level, and different types of beasts appeared on each level. Earth God Race Beasts, Ice God Race Beasts, Wood God Race Beasts, and Fire God Race Beasts. These 4 types of beasts appeared one after another, and it was very easy for Long Yu to deal with them. This was because Long Yu could easily find the vital points of these 4 types of beasts. Especially after successfully cultivating balance control, it was even easier to find the other party's vital points. He didn't even need to probe. He could just use the Void Nether Dragon Blade and slash it down. 9 Nether Dragon Breath. Long Yu opened his mouth, and the pitch-black 9 Nether God language condensed into a long and thin dragon breath. It directly blew up an Earth God race beast, turning it into ashes. Not even ashes were left. In 4 hours, Long Yu's martial techniques and mystiques didn't improve at all. The main reason was that the opponents were too weak. Long Yu wasn't under much pressure, so his martial techniques and mystiques didn't improve much. Of course, this was the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors. Long Yu broke through 4 levels in a row. All the martial techniques and mystiques that he learned had reached a bottleneck. As long as there was a challenging opponent, Long Yu could break through continuously. 9th level. After Long Yu killed the last Earth God race beast, he stepped into the 9th level. As long as he passed this level, he could step onto the 10th level and become a young genius protected by the alliance of 5 Emperors. Even if he couldn't become a personal disciple of the 5 Emperors, he could still choose to join the alliance of 5 Emperors and become a member of the alliance of 5 Emperors, becoming an ordinary disciple of the 5 Emperors. In fact, the young geniuses who participated in the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors rarely got eliminated in the first 10 levels. It was the same this time. Including Long Yu, there were still 8 people stuck in the 9th level. Long Yu's cultivation was of the transcendent realm, but he encountered an ice god race beast at the early stage of the Immortal King realm on the 9th floor. Furthermore, the sky was filled with hailstones, and the power of each hailstone was no less than a strike from the ice god race beast. This was the difficulty of the 9th level. Of course, what the others were facing was different from Long Yu. If it was a cultivator in the initial stage of the King realm, he would be facing a beast in the middle stage of the King realm. If it was a cultivator in the middle stage of the King realm, he would be facing a beast in the late stage of the King realm. The difference between the King realm early stage and the King realm early stage and the King realm late stage was almost the same as the difference between Long Yu and the King realm early stage ice god race beast. From this aspect, everyone's difficulty was about the same. When Long Yu stepped onto the 9th level, the people of the Gongsun clan who were watching outside the sacred tower suddenly became nervous. Originally, they thought that Long Yu would definitely be eliminated in the first 10 levels. But now, Long Yu was advancing triumphantly. He was not much slower than the others and stepped onto the 9th level. As long as he passed the 9th level, he would be protected by the alliance of 5 Emperors. At that time, the revenge of the young master of the Gongsun clan could only be left unsettled. After all, on the surface, Gongsun Jiaxing and Long Yu were fighting a life-and-death battle. No one could blame anyone for who lived or died. The master of the Gongsun clan's face suddenly became extremely ugly. Even though he had received millions of Shinbi from the Qin clan as compensation, it was still not enough to vent the hatred in his heart. The one who was killed by Long Yu was his son. Rest assured, master. Everyone knows that the 9th level is the most difficult among the first 10 levels. Long Yu will definitely not be able to pass this level and step onto the 10th level. That's right. That kid is only at the 5 Daos divinity realm. Right now, he's facing a powerful opponent that's at least at the King realm. The most dangerous thing in the 5 Emperor Phantasmagoria isn't the opponents on the surface, but the hidden dangers. That's right. Rest assured, master. That kid will definitely not be able to pass the 9th level. Throughout the history of the battle in the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors, the weakest will basically be eliminated at the 9th level. I think Long Yu will be the same. The elders of the Gongsun clan and the others comforted the master. But everyone knew that at this moment, Long Yu was only 1 step away from the 10th level. 1 step forward, and he would survive. Stop at the 9th level, and he would die. This was a crucial step, and Long Yu would definitely risk his life to take it. Including Yin Wenyao, a total of 8 people were fighting on the 9th level, and their states were clearly displayed in front of everyone. At the 9th level, those who had not been injured before finally started to get injured. Since they started to get injured, it meant that from this level onwards, it was already difficult for them. If they were not careful, they would lose their lives and be eliminated from the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors. However, What worried the master of the Gongsun clan was that Long Yu seemed to be in his best state. Although he didn't pass the 9th level, he wasn't injured either. As time passed, Long Yu still didn't get injured, which made the master of the Gongsun clan's face even more gloomy. Persisting for such a long time without getting injured. What did this mean? It meant that Long Yu was practicing martial arts on this level. Of course, the master of the Gongsun clan knew that the most heaven-defying part of the illusion realm of the 5 emperors was the effect of rapidly improving one's martial arts and supernatural powers. Everyone only had one such opportunity at most. How could they miss it? This conjecture made the Gongsun clan's people very unhappy. On the other hand, other people didn't pay too much attention to Long Yu. After all, Long Yu was now stuck on the 9th level, while the other real geniuses had already broken through the 9th level. Even Black Knife and Yi Ziwei had set foot on the 15th level. Yi Ziwei had always been a little slower than Black Knife, but she closely followed his footsteps, which showed that the two of them had similar talents. As for Lan Shuyan, the genius of the 9th Sun sect that everyone was concerned about, he was still lagging behind. Now, he was only on the 12th level, and his speed of advancement had already slowed down. For ordinary geniuses, starting from the 10th level was already very difficult, and Lan Shuyan's target was only the 20th level. On the seats inside the sacred tower, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su had been nervously watching the battle between Lan Shuyan and Long Yu from the beginning to the end. The two girls clenched their small hands tightly, and their beautiful eyes were filled with worry. From time to time, the mocking laughter of Lan Shuyan's senior and junior brothers could be heard from the 9th Sun sect. Haha, two beauties, I think you shouldn't count on that kid. Exactly, look at the gap between you and senior brother Lan. Right now, one is on the 12th level, and the other is stuck on the 9th level. The gap of 3 levels is difficult to overcome. I think that Long Yu probably can't even pass the 9th level. That special crystal of the Emperor realm will belong to our senior brother Lan. Haha. If junior brother Lan can step onto the 20th level, then it will be 3 joyous events. Not only will he become the personal disciple of the Flame Emperor, but he will also obtain the special crystal of the Emperor realm and 2 beautiful girls. How enviable. Listening to the filthy words from the 9th Sun sect, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su were extremely disgusted. However, the truth was always tilting towards Lan Shuyan's side. Compared to Lan Shuyan, Long Yu's current achievements were really nothing. Long Yu, the 9th level of the 5 Emperors fantasy world. In the boundless world of ice and snow, hailstones the size of human heads continuously smashed down. If Long Yu was hit head-on, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. This was equivalent to the attack of an early-stage King Realm powerhouse. Long Yu couldn't block these hailstones with just the Death Realm body refinement, so at this moment, he condensed 20 fallen dark stars above his head. Each fallen dark star could block dozens of hailstones. In this dangerous environment of falling hailstones, Long Yu was extremely relaxed, as if he was taking a stroll in his own courtyard. At the same time, his comprehension of the ancient transcendent rank martial skill, Fallen Dark Star, was rapidly increasing. Such a bombardment of hailstones is perfect for cultivating the Fallen Dark Star. There's no need to kill that early-stage King Realm Ice God Clan beast for now. Long Yu thought to himself. He raised his hand and blasted the 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath towards the early-stage King Realm beast. Bang! One side of the ice barrier was shattered by the 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath. And at this moment, Long Yu's 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath finally achieved a breakthrough, stepping into the realm of the 6th level. Its power has doubled again. I'm really looking forward to the day when the 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath becomes a high-grade divine ability. Long Yu was quite satisfied. He raised his hand and directly executed the hand of 9 Underworlds and the Soul Seal Rainbow Absorption divine ability, directly bombarding the body of the Ice God Clan's exotic beast. Long Yu didn't target the beast's vital parts. He just wanted to rely on this beast to practice his martial skill and divine ability. An early-stage King Realm beast was not a threat to Long Yu. Most of his attention was now on resisting the powerful hailstones falling from the sky. Fallen dark star extinguished, condensed, extinguished, condensed. In the process of constantly using the fallen dark star, Long Yu's comprehension of this ancient martial skill rapidly increased. The extreme environment of falling hailstones was the best place for Long Yu to cultivate the fallen dark star. Coupled with the effect of the 10 million illusions of the Five Emperors' illusory world, his comprehension of the fallen dark star was extremely fast. 2 hours later. Fallen dark star, great accomplishment. Long Yu's eyes shone brightly as he clenched his fists. With a thought, the power of the 9 underworld's divine text instantly connected the 4 fallen dark stars, forming a star wall in the middle of the 4 fallen dark stars. The defensive power of this star wall was, of course, not as good as the fallen dark star itself, but its defensive range was much larger, which could make up for the shortcomings of the fallen dark star in certain situations. However, for Long Yu, who had cultivated balance control, whether it was the star line derived from the minor accomplishment or the star wall derived from the great accomplishment, they didn't have much effect. The most powerful part of this martial skill was yet to come. It's almost time. Long Yu's heart moved. When the fallen dark star broke through to the great accomplishment realm, the hailstones could no longer pose a threat to him, so there was no need to waste time here. Space penetration. The pitch-black blade cut through space and directly penetrated the early-stage King Realm Ice God Clan beast's vital parts, killing it in one move. Long Yu's figure flickered, and in the next moment, he stepped onto the 10th floor. Chapter 782. The 10th floor. After a few hours, Long Yu finally stepped onto the 10th floor. Furthermore, he wasn't the last one. After him, there were 2 more people who were still on the 9th floor. The faces of everyone from the Gongsun clan turned ashen. It was obvious that they couldn't believe that a mere divine secret realm kid could reach the 10th floor faster than the other 2 King Realm geniuses. When Long Yu reached the 10th floor, it meant that he wouldn't be able to avenge the young master of the Gongsun clan in a short period of time. However, this didn't stop the people of the Gongsun clan from staying and watching from the side. The patriarch of the Gongsun clan wanted to see how far Long Yu could go. I'd like to see how capable that kid is to dare to make a bet with Lan Shuyan of the Nine Suns sect. Lan Shuyan has already reached the 14th floor. Perhaps he will become the personal disciple of the Flame Emperor tomorrow morning. The patriarch of the Gongsun clan snorted coldly. Even though he couldn't avenge his son with his own hands, he was happy to see Long Yu suffer a setback and make Long Yu lose 2 beauties and a special Emperor Realm crystal. The sky gradually darkened, but the patriarch of the Gongsun clan had no intention of leaving. He felt that the moment of Long Yu's defeat was coming soon. However, there weren't many people who were as interested as the patriarch of the Gongsun clan. The moment the phantom realm of the 5 emperors opened, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth dissipated. This was the main reason why everyone had gathered here. As for watching the battle for the entire afternoon, it was just to satisfy their curiosity. By nightfall, more than half of the 1 million people around the sacred tower had left. Only 200,000 to 300,000 people were still watching around the sacred tower. There was no doubt that these people had their own reasons for staying. For example, the people of the Nine Suns sect stayed to observe Lan Shuyan's battle. The Su Medicine Hall, the Lin Merchant House, and some other clans, sects, and forces wanted to see if anyone could recruit them. There were also powerful forces like the Taiwu Empire that had left a portion of their people behind. They wanted to know the exact strength of each young genius and make plans for future power struggles. Great! When they saw Long Yu step onto the 10th floor, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su couldn't contain their excitement and stood up from their seats. Quite a few people noticed the reactions of the 2 women, especially those from the Nine Suns sect, who all laughed coldly. It's just the 10th level. Now, senior brother Lan has already stepped onto the 14th level. The gap between them is getting bigger and bigger. That kid called Long Yu has been stuck in the 9th level for so long. I'm afraid he'll be eliminated soon. The gap between him and Senior Lan is too big. These two beauties will definitely belong to our junior brother Lon, huh? But since junior brother Lon obtained an Emperor Realm special crystal for free, I'm sure he won't mistreat us. Ha! Qin Yashuang and Zisu's moods turned sour as they listened to the ninth son's sex laughter. Indeed, although Long Yu had taken that step and stepped onto the 10th level of the Five Emperors' fantasy realm, the gap between him and Lan Shuyan was still too huge. This round of the Five Emperors' fantasy realm battle would last at least until the next day. A lot of things would definitely happen in one night. Could Long Yu still catch up to Lan Shuyan? Miss, I believe in Senior Long. Zisu held Qin Yashuang's hands tightly and said in a low voice with confidence, "Look, Lan Shuyan is starting to get injured, but Senior Long is still unharmed." Qin Yashuang nodded. The situation was indeed like that. It looked like Lan Shuyan was about to die, but Lan Shuyan had already reached the 14th level. Could Long Yu reach this result? Hopefully so. A night without rest was nothing to a cultivator. Many cultivators wouldn't rest for a long time when they were cultivating. Only when the cultivator's energy was exhausted would they feel tired. A night of watching the Five Emperors' fantasy realm battle wouldn't affect them at all. It was the same for the young geniuses who were going through the Five Emperors' fantasy realm. In an environment like the Five Emperors' fantasy realm, the energy in the body would never be exhausted. This meant that the young geniuses would never need to rest unless they were injured or eliminated due to death. The Five Emperors' fantasy realm, 10th level. The scene in front of Long Yu's eyes flashed, and he discovered that he had already arrived at the foot of a flaming sea sword mountain. Raising his head, he discovered that at the top of the flaming sea sword mountain that was several hundred meters tall, there was a flaming palace. On the way to the top of the flaming sword mountain, countless flames spewed out from the flaming sword mountain. At the same time, there were countless sword lights flashing. Once they discovered an enemy, they would attack together. A defense checkpoint. Long Yu immediately knew the content of this level's test. With a thought, he rose straight into the sky. One after another, fallen dark stars surrounded his body. Boom! A cluster of flames extended, trying to envelop Long Yu and burn him to ashes. The power of this cluster of flames was equivalent to a blow from an expert in the early stage of the King Realm. However, Long Yu was able to easily detect the strongest point of this cluster of flames by relying on his balance control. He then condensed two fallen dark stars and used them to form a star line that blocked the strongest point of the cluster of flames. Swoosh, swoosh. A series of flaming sword lights surged forward, sweeping towards Long Yu like a violent storm. Barrier of Death. 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. Long Yu condensed a barrier of death to ensure his safety. Then, he spread the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light towards the top of the flaming sword mountain. Long Yu's figure became extremely fast in the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. In an instant, he had already arrived at the other end of the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light and avoided the series of terrifying flaming sword lights. Shadow Release. Long Yu once again displayed his martial arts technique and flew towards the palace at the top of the flaming sword mountain at a terrifying speed. What came in front of him was a series of extremely hot flames and a strange beast of the Fire God clan in the early stage of the King Realm flying out of the palace. 9 Underworld Heavenly Light Peak. The power of the 9 Underworld divine characters surged all over Long Yu's body and once again condensed into a 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, wrapping the countless flames and the strange beast of the Fire God clan in it. The 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, an ancient top-grade martial arts technique, had finally been comprehended from the great accomplishment realm to the peak. 9 Underworld Blade. Long Yu clenched one hand. In the pitch-black mist of the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, countless blades of 9 Underworld divine characters were condensed without warning and directly stabbed the strange beast of the Fire God clan in the darkness. Countless blades came from all directions. The attack of each blade was equivalent to the attack of an early stage of the King Realm. Moreover, there was no trajectory to follow. Before the strange beast of the Fire God clan could react, It had already been killed by the countless blades of 9 underworld. The next level. The scene in front of Long Yu suddenly changed. Once again, he was in an extremely vast stone forest. This made him realize that this time, he had to deal with the strange beasts of the Earth God clan. Eye of Shadow. Long Yu's Eye of Shadow appeared again, covering a wide range of 100 miles, which told him the location of all the enemies. A total of 10 early-stage King Realm strange beasts of the Earth God clan. I will kill them one by one. Long Yu found that the strange beasts in this stone forest were all very scattered, which allowed him to kill them one by one. However, at this moment, Long Yu had an idea. Since they are scattered, instead of spending time looking for them one by one, why not use this period of time to try and see if I can cultivate the Dubhe Chi guiding technique in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors. Long Yu suddenly thought of the Dubhe Chi guiding technique, the upper-grade, Great Desolate level martial arts technique. Since other martial arts techniques and supernatural powers could be improved quickly in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, what about this technique? The reason why Long Yu had stored so many elixirs without taking them was that the Dubhe Chi guiding technique had not been cultivated to the perfection realm. Now, why not give it a try? Just do it. Long Yu sat down in the middle of the entire stone forest and began to feel the aura of the Dubhe star in the sky. To his surprise, it was really possible. In the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, he really felt the aura of the Dubhe star in the sky. And it was not the usual feeling, but thousands of times at the same time in the thousands of illusions. The cultivation speed is so fast. Long Yu was shocked in his heart. According to his current rate of progress, Long Yu only needed to continue for 6 hours before he could cultivate the Dubhe Chi drawing Grand Desolate Grade High rank martial technique to the perfection stage. From the peak to the perfection realm, it was a very long process. If it was in the outside world, Long Yu would need at least a month to do it. But in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, he only needed 6 hours to do it. Of course, in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, there was not so much spare time for him. After Long Yu calmed his mind and cultivated for 2 hours, he found that the 10 early-stage King Realm demonic beasts of the Earth God clan in the entire stone forest were approaching him. If this went on, it would only take an hour for the 10 exotic beasts to completely surround him. Although Long Yu had dealt with enough King Realm beasts in the early stage, he did not want to be besieged by 10 Earth God clan beasts in the early stage of the King Realm. In desperation, he could only get up first and fly toward one of the Earth God clan beasts, preparing to defeat them one by one. Hand of the 9 Nether. Dragon Breath of the 9 Nether. When Long Yu sensed that the first strange beast was not far from him, he immediately hid behind a stone pillar and executed 2 great sacred abilities in succession. A white bone arm stretched out from the void and slapped the Earth God clan beast to the ground without warning. Hand of the 9 Nether, level 6. After performing the Hand of the 9 Nether many times in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, Long Yu's first magical power finally made a breakthrough and successfully stepped into the level of level 6. Immediately after, a dragon breath of the 9 underworlds arrived with a loud rumble, and the Earth God clan's exotic beast that had been smacked on the ground was severely injured. By relying on his balance control, Long Yu condensed the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds into a beam and directly bombarded the Earth God clan's exotic beast's vital parts, killing it with a single strike. Chapter 783. After killing one of the mutated beasts, there were still 9 left. However, the remaining 9 mutated beasts of the Earth God clan were about to gather together. If they really gathered together, it would be troublesome for Long Yu. After killing 3 more, the remaining 6 will gather together. It will be challenging to deal with 6 early-stage King Realm exotic beasts at the same time. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly, and he started to act without any hesitation. Since Long Yu had grasped the opponent's weakness, it was very easy for him to deal with an Earth God clan beast at the early stage of the King Realm. Soon, he killed 3 Earth God clan beasts according to his plan. As for the remaining 6 exotic beasts, just as Long Yu expected, They gathered at the center of the entire stone forest, and then they charged towards Long Yu. Good. Primordial Shadow. Condense. Instead of retreating, Long Yu charged towards the 6 Earth God clan exotic beasts. At the same time, 5 primordial shadows appeared beside him. Although Long Yu had cultivated the primordial shadow to perfection, it wasn't the end. If he continued to cultivate it, he would be able to condense more and more primordial shadows. Moreover, with the improvement of his martial arts realm and cultivation, he would naturally be able to condense more primordial shadows. Now he could condense 5 primordial shadows at most. Including his main body, he would have a total of 6 primordial shadows. It's not difficult for me to fight one-on-one. Moreover, my primordial shadows can fight an early-stage king realm Earth God clan exotic beast alone. Even if I can't win, I won't be defeated in a short time. In such a situation, Long Yu is still able to deal with it with ease. Moreover, the 5 primordial shadows didn't make any other moves. They were just constantly using the fallen Dark Star to defend themselves. Compared to Long Yu's main body, the biggest weakness of the primordial shadows was the lack of power within them. Each primordial shadow only had 1% of Long Yu's total power at most. With so much power, if he attacked with all his might, most of the time, it would only be enough for one attack. But now, Long Yu was in the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors. In the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors, no matter what martial technique or supernatural power he used, he would not consume any of the power in his body. In other words, Long Yu's 5 primordial shadows, aside from the fact that they couldn't duplicate war weapons, were as strong as Long Yu's real body in all other aspects. No matter what they did, they could unleash 80% of Long Yu's power. Soul Seal Absorption. Long Yu's main body was only facing one of the Earth God mutated beasts. That mutated beast kept condensing sharp daggers with the power of Earth elemental divine characters, flying towards Long Yu. It even created a huge mountain that fell down. Merak Steps. Fallen Dark Star. Long Yu relied on these 2 martial techniques. The former was agile, while the latter had a strong defense. He seemed to be able to deal with the continuous attacks of the Earth God, mutated beasts with ease. He raised his hand, and the 5-color divine characters instantly condensed in his hand. The 7th level of heaven, high-level supernatural power. Through the enhancement of the tens of millions of illusions in the fantasy realm of the 5 emperors, Long Yu's first high-level supernatural power was finally born. When the endless 5-color divine characters enveloped the Earth God mutated beast, it directly sealed the power in its body. The ability to seal the power in one's body was already present when the Soul Seal Absorption was still a mid-level supernatural power. However, because Long Yu didn't have a deep understanding of the Siphon divine characters, its power wasn't strong. Especially against an early-stage King Realm opponent, the opponent would be able to break free in half a breath. However, when this move broke through to become a high-level supernatural power, it was different. The sealing power directly doubled. The 5-color divine characters enveloped the Earth God mutated beast. While sealing its power, it began to absorb its soul imprint. Soon, 10% of its soul imprint was absorbed. Heaven-defying. Originally, because I didn't have much understanding of the Siphon divine characters, this move was only used as a support in battle. Its effect was even worse than the 7th grade God Chain, Phantom Spiral. But now, the time that the Soul Seal Absorption can seal the opponent is almost the same as the Phantom Spiral, and it also has the effect of absorbing the soul imprint. Long Yu's eyes lit up. The Soul Seal Absorption was a move that was truly used to deal with mortal enemies. Even if the opponent finally broke free, 10% of its soul imprint would be absorbed by Long Yu, and it would take a long time to recover. Most importantly, its combat power would be greatly reduced. Space Penetration. Long Yu raised his hand, and the void nether dragon blade flew out, piercing through the weak point of the early-stage King Realm Earth God mutated beast, and it exploded into pieces. As a high-level supernatural power, The soul seal absorption could seal an early-stage King Realm opponent for 2 breaths of time. During such a long time, the opponent couldn't use any power, so it was natural that it would be easily killed by Long Yu. 9. Nether Heavenly Light. 9. Nether Blade Edge. Long Yu had just sat and cultivated for 2 hours, so all the meridians in his body had naturally eliminated the fatigue. He used this move again, and the pitch-black 9 Nether Heavenly Light covered the whole area. Then, it condensed into endless 9 Nether Blade Edge, which became a butcher's knife in the darkness, and fiercely stabbed at the remaining 5 Earth God mutated beasts. Puff! 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 The Earth God mutated beasts that were fighting with Long Yu's desolate shadow naturally couldn't react in time, and they all died under this move. Originally, Long Yu wanted to leave one of them alive and let his desolate shadow hold it off so that he could have time to cultivate the Dubheat Chi guiding technique. However, he found that he couldn't control the desolate shadow to fight at the same time while cultivating, so he could only give up. The 5 Earth God mutated beasts were killed at the same time. The light in front of Long Yu changed, and he once again stepped into the next level. The 12th level. In a dense forest that covered the sky, endless killing intent was hidden. Long Yu's eye of shadow spread out his perception, and he found that there were dozens of wood god mutated beasts in the early stage of the King Realm in the entire forest. There's no chance to cultivate the Dubheat Chi guiding technique anymore. I can only kill. Long Yu's heart trembled. If dozens of mutated beasts gathered together, he definitely wouldn't be able to deal with them. Moreover, the range of this dense forest was much smaller than the previous stone forest. If these dozens of mutated beasts wanted to gather together, it would probably only take the time of burning a stick of incense. Long Yu had to kill as many mutated beasts as possible before that. When Long Yu stepped into the 12th level, many cultivators around the sacred tower who were watching from the outside began to be surprised. That kid who was only in the divine secret realm actually stepped into the 12th level? One really couldn't judge a book by its cover. Someone is about to die. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, and they saw a person pointing at the crystal window on the 6th level of the sacred tower with a rather excited expression. Finally, someone was about to die. Everyone looked over and saw the battle situation of one of the young geniuses displayed on the 12th level. The injuries on his body were getting more and more serious, and it seemed that he would soon be eliminated. As expected, from the moment he started to get injured, his injuries became more and more serious. In less than the time of burning a stick of incense, he was indeed announced to be eliminated. From the exit of one of the windows of the 5 Emperors fantasy realm, a young man in purple clothes was bounced out with a dispirited expression. He became the first person to be eliminated in this battle of the 5 Emperors fantasy realm. However, this was not much different from the young man's original expectations. The most important thing was that after the battle of the 5 Emperors fantasy realm, he had made breakthroughs in several techniques. It was too comfortable to cultivate martial arts and supernatural powers in the 5 Emperors fantasy realm. He only hated that he couldn't last a little longer in it. My cultivation is in the early stage of the King Realm. On the 12th level, a total of dozens of King Realm middle stage exotic beasts besieged me. It's too difficult to pass. I wonder how strong those who passed are. The young man in purple clothes raised his head and looked in the direction of the sacred tower with a complicated expression, observing the results of others. Soon, he found that he was the first to be eliminated, and his expression suddenly became very bad. Didn't this mean that among the 14 people who participated in this month's battle of the 5 Emperors fantasy realm, he was the weakest? How is this possible? What about the kid in the mystery realm? The young man in purple clothes soon found that even Long Yu had set foot on the 12th level, and there were no signs of injury. As for the genius of Ninth Sun sect, Lan Shuyan, he had now set foot on the 15th level. There were also the strongest Black Knife and Yizi Wei. These two were already the personal disciples of the Demon Emperor and Lei Emperor. One could imagine that their talents were definitely extremely strong. The 21st level. Both Black Knife and Yi Ziwei had now set foot on the 21st level, and it was only here that the speed of their advancement began to slow down. Apart from these two people, no one else would be able to set foot on the 21st level. That was the standard to become a personal disciple of the five emperors. Another person was eliminated. Soon, someone exclaimed again, and then a girl in red clothes was blasted out of the fantasy realm of the five emperors. This person had the cultivation of the king realm middle stage, and she set foot on the 13th level. However, she was killed by the exotic beasts on the 13th level and was eliminated. At midnight, as expected, they began to be eliminated one by one. In the past, this was the situation in the Battle of the Five Emperors fantasy realm. To everyone's surprise, Long Yu, who no one thought highly of, had actually persisted until now. He didn't even have the slightest injury. It was a miracle. Senior Brother Lan's speed has slowed down. He's been on the 15th level for 2 hours. His goal is the 20th level. As long as he fights steadily, it doesn't matter if his speed is slow. That's right. The best way is to practice martial arts in the fantasy realm of the five emperors to make himself stronger. He can improve while fighting. Only then can he set foot on the 20th level. That Long Yu is still on the 12th level. In my opinion, he will be eliminated soon. You are still paying attention to that Long Yu? I don't care about him anymore. Such a kid is destined to be cannon fodder in the battle of the fantasy realm of the five emperors. He is just here to go through the motions. Do you really think he can achieve anything? As for wanting to surpass Junior Brother Lon, that is a complete delusion. There is no chance at all. Everyone in the Ninth Sun sect discussed among themselves, but no one was optimistic about Long Yu. In a restaurant outside the walls of the Sacred Tower, the Qin family patriarch, who was wearing golden armor, and the second elder of the Qin family were both there. When they saw that Long Yu was still on the 12th level, they both sneered. That kid is about to be defeated. The Qin family patriarch said indifferently, being able to make it to the 12th level has already exceeded everyone's expectations. It is impossible for him to go further. Chapter 784. The truth was like a slap on the face of the head of the Qin family, causing his face to turn ashen. He stepped onto the 13th floor? How is this possible? The 13th floor must be his limit. The second elder of the Qin family also said with a pale face, anyway, he can't step onto the 20th floor, and he can't surpass Lan Shuyan. It doesn't matter which floor this kid steps onto. That's right. The Qin family patriarch nodded, but his face still didn't look good. After all, it didn't feel good to be slapped in the face. However, soon, everyone from the Qin family was stunned on the spot, and they couldn't believe it. The 14th floor. Long Yu, who just stepped onto the 13th floor, didn't stop for long. In just a few breaths, he stepped onto the 14th floor. At this moment, everyone was shocked. How can he be so fast? The Qin family patriarch couldn't sit still anymore. He suddenly stood up and pointed at the crystal window of the 6th floor with a shocked expression. Even the strongest Black Blade and Yi Ziwei couldn't pass the 13th floor so fast. It took at least half an hour, but that Long Yu only used a few breaths. Every time the fantasy world of the five emperors opens, the content of each floor is different. I wonder what the content of the 13th floor is this time. The second elder of the Qin family had a gloomy face. He still remembered the scene of Long Yu slapping his face with the Red Emperor token outside the wall of the Sacred Tower. And now, Long Yu once again slapped their Qin family in the face. Send someone over to ask. The Qin family patriarch stood straight and pointed to the inside of the Sacred Tower. If you can't go in, ask at the entrance of the wall. The news should have spread by now. His gaze was fixed on the girl in red who was eliminated on the 13th floor. As long as he asked her, he would know what the content of the 13th floor was. Some of the Qin family disciples immediately left the restaurant and scattered around to inquire about the news. Sure enough, the news had spread everywhere, and soon someone came back to report. The 13th floor is a special beast of the fire god race with the same cultivation as the challenger. It is a genius among the beasts. It has many tricks, and it isn't under any suppression. This news made many people of the Qin family even more confused. Everyone knows that the majority of beasts are suppressed in Shunwu world, which at least has their fighting strength. But the opponents on the 13th floor aren't suppressed, and they're unique beasts, geniuses among beasts. Such an opponent would definitely be very difficult to deal with. Just look at the red-clothed young lady. She had easily passed through the first 12 levels, but she was directly killed on the 13th level. It wasn't just that. In just a short while, another 2 young geniuses had been killed at the 13th level, and they'd lost the qualifications to continue challenging the 13th level. Up until now, 4 people had been eliminated, and 3 of them had perished on the 13th level. And it just so happened that Long Yu had only spent a few breaths of time to pass through the 13th level and step onto the 14th level in one go. Everyone remembered that on the 14th level, the genius of the Nine Suns sect, Lan Shuyan, was already injured. Then what about Long Yu? He definitely can't pass the 14th level. The head of the Qin family pointed at the crystal window of the 6th level. Up until now, besides the 2 geniuses, the Black Blade and Yi Ziwei, everyone else has been injured on the 14th level. This Long Yu definitely can't pass. Let's hope so. The second elder of the Qin family glanced over and saw that Long Yu's condition was still perfectly fine. His eyelids twitched a few times, thinking to himself, could it be that this kid's martial talent is really that heaven-defying? At this time, a loud cheer came from afar. It was from the disciples of the Nine Suns sect. It's the 17th level, senior brother Lan. Do your best. As long as he passes 3 more levels, senior brother Lan will become the personal disciple of the 5 emperors and bring glory to our Nine Suns sect. It seems like he's only lightly injured, so he definitely has some strength left. He might very well reach the 20th level. The atmosphere over the Nine Suns sect side became lively. Even the Emperor Realm elders of the Nine Suns sect, who hadn't spoken much until now, began to discuss softly. Lan Shuyan did not disappoint them. He had already reached the 17th level before daybreak. It seemed like it was very likely that he would reach the 20th level. If Lan Shuyan really became the disciple of one of the 5 emperors, then the Nine Suns sect would rise. No one doubted this. At the very least, they would obtain more precious cultivation resources, and most importantly, there would be more opportunities. Many of the hunting operations of the Alliance of 5 Emperors would select partners to carry out. If they could hunt exotic beasts with the Alliance of 5 Emperors, then they would have a channel to obtain the special crystals of the Emperor Realm, and even the crystals of the Divine Runes. To be honest, the elders of the Nine Suns sect had never paid much attention to the bet between Lan Shuyan and Long Yu. In their opinion, Lan Shuyan's talent was second to none. How could he be surpassed by a mere Theurgy realm kid? In the clouds high above the sacred tower, the top disciple of the Holy Emperor, Qi Tianming, and the top disciple of the Red Emperor, Xing Fa, were drinking and chatting leisurely. From time to time, they would glance down with interest. It seems like no one from my side will be able to reach the 20th level. Qi Tianming looked at the situation in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors with some disappointment. What do you think of the 3 from my side? The Red Emperor. Xing Fa had a meaningful expression on his face as he asked faintly. Not much different from my side. Qi Tianming glanced down and said without hesitation, I think that the one called Long Yu is not bad. Xing Fa laughed lightly. You mean that kid from the Theurgy realm? Qi Tianming was rather surprised. He's on the 14th level now, and it seems to be going quite smoothly. But on the 19th level, there will be mid-stage King Realm opponents. Do you think he can deal with them? We can all kill late-stage King Realm beasts when we're early-stage King Realm. Why can't he deal with mid-stage King Realm beasts? Xing Fa asked in return. He's in the Theurgy realm. Qi Tianming narrowed his eyes. 5 Theurgy realms only have 5 methods. Even if he learns some decent martial techniques, it's still too difficult to deal with mid-stage King Realm existences. The mid-stage King Realm is a watershed. You'll know if you keep watching. Xing Chen drank a mouthful of wine and looked down with anticipation in his eyes. This Long Yu is someone that even Master can't stop praising. Moreover, he has some special secrets. Illusion Realm of the Five Emperors, 14th level. Long Yu stood on a boundless ice field and was rushing forward at high speed. He used the Eye of Shadow to its fullest extent and detected a beast at the initial stage of the King Realm, not far away from him. On the upper level, Long Yu encountered a fire god race exotic beast with 5 divine abilities. It was a special exotic beast, and its aura seemed to be very different from other exotic beasts. Long Yu immediately knew that this beast wasn't like the other beasts that were suppressed by Shunwu World. It was a beast genius at its peak. Facing such an opponent, Long Yu didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. Instead, he directly unleashed all of his attacks. Together with the 5 primordial shadows, the divine characters of the Netherworld blotted out the sky and covered the entire area. After that, they directly killed the special beast from the Fire God clan. Even so, that special mutant beast from the Fire God race chose to self-destruct before it died. Fortunately, Long Yu used the Dragon Sparrow Flash and hid in an alternate dimension, thus escaping the calamity and stepping onto the 14th level. Fallen Dark Star. Long Yu felt that he was about to approach an Ice God clan exotic beast, so he began to condense a fallen dark star to revolve around him. Sure enough, a series of icy sword chi soon descended from the sky like a torrential downpour. One by one, the fallen dark stars shot up into the sky. Long Yu relied on his balance control and didn't even need to raise his head to control the 10 fallen dark stars, causing them to flicker above his head, blocking all of the incoming sword chi. As expected of an ancient supreme rank defensive martial skill. Impressive. Long Yu laughed. His figure flickered and instantly appeared behind the Ice God race beast not far away. Wielding the Nether Dragon Blade, he stabbed at its weak point. Merak Star Shadow. Long Yu used the Merak Steps, which had reached the Mastery Realm, and crossed the space to reach the Ice God clan. He even left an afterimage in his original position, and this attack made the Ice God clan's exotic beast almost unable to react. Layers upon layers of ice shields appeared behind the Ice God clan's beast, trying to block Long Yu's attack. However, with the strength of an early King Realm ice shield, how could it possibly block the attack of an ancient top-rank combat weapon, the Nethervoid Dragon Blade? The 9 Serenity's divine script burst out and blew the Ice God race beast into pieces. As Long Yu stepped onto a higher level in the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors, the martial skills and divine abilities he comprehended were also improving rapidly, which made his combat effectiveness improve rapidly. Before entering the illusion realm of the 5 Emperors, he could kill the young master of the Gongsun family, Gongsun Jiaxing, with only 2 moves. If it were the current Long Yu, he would only need 1 move to deal with that guy. This ice field is similar to the first layer. When one Ice God race beast dies, another one will appear. Under the thick ice layer, there are a total of 100 Ice God race beasts. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Should I kill them all at once? Although it's very dangerous. Only by putting myself in the most extreme state can I maximize my martial skills and divine abilities, right? 100 early King Realm beasts. I should be able to resist them with the fallen Dark Star. Long Yu thought to himself. Soon, he made a decision. Gathering all the 9 Serenity's divine script on his body, he launched a Nether Dragon 9 explosion, Nether Underworld explosion at the ice field under his feet. The terrifying explosive force shattered the thick ice field, allowing the remaining 99 Ice God race beasts to rush out of the ice field and surround Long Yu from all directions. The sky was filled with ice divine characters that formed an attack that swept towards Long Yu. It was as if he would be buried in ice and snow in the next instant. Fallen Dark Star condense. One fallen dark star after another condensed around Long Yu, like a large group of fireflies dancing in the air. However, these fireflies each had a very strong defensive ability. Star Line, Star Wall. As Long Yu activated it, star lines and even star walls began to condense between the fallen dark stars, so that he could carry out a large-scale defense. Chapter 785. In a world of ice and snow that stretched as far as the eye could see, nearly 100 Ice God Clan beasts surrounded Longyu. Ice divine characters constantly erupted, causing the temperature of the entire space to drop to an extremely low level. Longyu felt that a casual breath of his would immediately freeze into ice. There are too many attacks. It's too chaotic. Longyu kept calm all the time, defending against nearly 100 Ice God Clan exotic beasts, and he could only defend now. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for him to fight back. Fortunately, under such strong pressure, Longyu felt that his understanding of the fallen Dark Star was improving rapidly. Hold on. Longyu gritted his teeth and persevered. The endless low temperature almost froze his whole body into ice, but fortunately, he had cultivated the dead state body refining technique, which allowed him to resist such low temperatures. One after another, fallen dark stars condensed around him. At first, the speed of condensing was not as fast as the fallen dark stars were destroyed, but soon he became more and more proficient in condensing the fallen dark stars, and the speed of condensing them became faster and faster. In the end, he maintained the 40 fallen dark stars flying around him, sometimes activating star threads, sometimes forming star walls. Relying on his balance control, he successfully withstood the joint attack of nearly 100 Ice God Clan's exotic beasts. These were all powerful exotic beasts at the early King realm. If this scene was seen by others, they would probably all be scared stiff on the spot. 1 against 100? Was this something that a mere 5 divine power realm martial cultivator could do? If ordinary people wanted to pass this level, they only needed to fight steadily and kill the Ice God Clan exotic beasts one by one. Apart from spending a little time, it was not difficult. However, it was precisely because it was not difficult that the effect of improving one's martial skills and divine powers in this level was not good. Like Longyu, because of the great defensive pressure, the improvement of his defensive martial skills would be extremely fast, but the danger was also obvious. If he was not careful, he would be beaten to death by a group of hundreds of exotic beasts. Seeing that Longyu was able to withstand it, the hundreds of Ice God Clan exotic beasts suddenly became angry. Blizzard, ice mountain suppression, ice arrows rained down. Endless attacks rained down on Longyu. This time, the joint attack of these exotic beasts was extremely terrifying, directly destroying several of the star walls condensed by Longyu and destroying more than a dozen fallen dark stars. Moreover, the joint attack was still heading towards Longyu. I can't fight it head-on. I can't block it. Longyu's heart stirred. At this critical moment, he could only use a special method to save his life. Book of Shadows. Longyu summoned the Book of Shadows and scanned one of the Ice God exotic beasts in the nick of time. Afterwards, he used shadow evasion and fled into the distance. A loud bang came from behind him, accompanied by a violent tremor in the ice field beneath his feet. Cracks spread out in all directions, completely destroying the thick ice field. Then, the hundreds of beasts of the Ice God Clan looked at each other. Where was their target? Where was that human? They would never have thought that Longyu had changed into their appearance and mixed with them. Unless Longyu changed back, they would never be able to find any trace of Longyu. Success. Longyu transformed into an Ice God exotic beast and blended into the large group of exotic beasts. He gradually calmed down. In this state, although he would not be attacked, he could not attack or cultivate. The only thing he could do was to return to his human form and kill all these exotic beasts. Let's wait first. When I can use Merak Star Shadow, or Shadow Evasion again, I can return to my human form and deal with these exotic beasts again. Longyu thought to himself. He suppressed the impulse in his heart and waited quietly. Although being besieged by so many exotic beasts allowed him to comprehend martial skills and divine abilities very quickly, the most important thing was to ensure his own safety. If he accidentally died, it could only be said that the gains did not make up for the losses. Therefore, before Longyu started fighting again, he must ensure that he had enough life-saving means. The Merak Star Shadow and the Nether Shadow Evasion were the two most effective techniques, because both of them allowed Longyu to instantly appear far away, dodging the combined attacks of these strange beasts. In comparison, the Dragon Sparrow Flash couldn't be used like this because these were all Ice God clan beasts at the initial stage of the King Realm. Long you could clearly sense that some of the Ice God clan beasts had comprehended the power of Space Divine runes at the same time, and could ignore his Dragon Sparrow Flash. Soon, again, after more than half an hour, nearly 100 Ice God clan exotic beasts had scattered in all directions, extremely relaxed and lazy. At this moment, Long Yu finally finished waiting and returned to his human form, suddenly attracting the attention of all the Ice God clan exotic beasts. Fallen Dark Star, condense. Long Yu raised his hand, but did not attack. Instead, he directly began to condense fallen dark stars, and in just a breath of time, he had condensed 10 fallen dark stars. At this time, several exotic beasts that were close enough to attack Long Yu, but they were directly blocked by Long Yu's fallen dark stars, unable to approach him at all. Close to 100 Ice God clan exotic beasts closed in on Long Yu, surrounding him once again. Long Yu fell into a bitter battle once more. If he could block it, he would continue to block it, practicing the Fallen Dark Star martial technique. If he could not block it, Long Yu would immediately use the Heavenly Jade Star Shadow or the Underworld Shadow evasion to escape, then disguise himself as an Ice God beast and rest. After resting, he would continue fighting like this. This repeated 3 times, and 3 hours had passed, but Long Yu was still fighting on the 14th floor. Finally, when the sun rose outside, Long Yu's eyes lit up. He had broken through. Fallen Dark Star had stepped into the peak realm. Dark Star, Star Explosion. Long Yu clenched his fist, and the more than 40 fallen dark stars flying around him instantly flew into the large group of Ice God clan exotic beasts, and then with a loud bang, they exploded. The more fallen dark stars there were, the more they could produce a chain of explosions. This was the defensive counterattack of this transcendent grade ancient defensive martial skill. Once Long Yu was given enough time, countless fallen dark stars would explode, and even a late-stage King Realm powerhouse could be blown to death. If it were in the outside world, condensing a fallen dark star would consume 1% of my strength, and it would be impossible to fight like this. Long Yu thought that in the outside world, if he wanted to achieve the power to kill a late-stage King Realm powerhouse, he would need at least 400 or 500 fallen dark stars. Not to mention that he did not have enough strength to condense them. Even if he did, would they just stand there and wait for him to condense them? With the speed at which Long Yu condensed fallen dark stars, he could condense 10 in a breath of time. As long as he was given 10 breaths of time, he could condense 100 fallen dark stars with all his strength, and he could easily blow up a mid-stage King Realm powerhouse, unless he cultivated a very strong defensive method. This was the peak realm of Fallen Dark Star, Star Explosion. More than 40 fallen dark stars instantly exploded in a chain, blowing away all the Ice God clan exotic beasts around Long Yu, and each of them was riddled with holes. The violent explosion lasted for several breaths of time, but there were still more than 60 Ice God clan exotic beasts that were not dead and only suffered minor injuries. However, did Long Yu's attack end just like that? Again, in the time it took for the explosion to happen, Long Yu had condensed another 50 or 60 fallen dark stars, and at this moment, they flew out again. Star Explosion erupted. The 100 Ice God clan exotic beasts on the 14th floor were finally annihilated. If it's in the outside world, Star Explosion can only be used as a last resort counterattack, but in the Five Emperors fantasy realm, I don't need to worry about the energy consumption in my body. This is my strongest attack. Long Yu was full of confidence in his trip to the Five Emperors fantasy realm. The scene in front of him changed, and he finally set foot on the 15th floor of the Five Emperors fantasy realm. In the holy city of the Five Emperors, the sun rose. Inside the walls of the holy tower, hundreds of people from the Nine Sun sect were sitting. Everyone looked nervous, staring at the crystal window of the 6th floor of the holy tower, watching Lan Xuyan's battle situation. Now, Lan Xuyan had set foot on the 19th floor. Apart from Black Knife and Yi Ziwei, Lan Xuyan was the one with the best result in this battle of the 5 Emperors fantasy realm. As long as he entered the 19th floor, he would become the personal disciple of the Flame Emperor. This was the most crucial floor. And on the 19th floor, Lan Shuyan, who was in the late stage of the King realm, encountered a terrifying beast in the middle stage of the Emperor realm. Its combat power was extremely strong, and it was extremely difficult to pass this floor. A King realm against an Emperor realm? For ordinary people, this was simply unimaginable. Only a top genius like Lan Shuyan could do this, and this was the top talent that qualified him to become the personal disciple of the 5 Emperors. However, from last night until now, Lan Shuyan had fought continuously on the 19th floor for 4 hours, and the injuries on his body were getting more and more serious. The crucial moment was coming soon. The hundreds of people from a Nine Sun sect didn't even dare to breathe loudly, for fear that it would affect Lan Shuyan's performance and cause him to lose. If he failed on the 19th floor, it would be too much of a pity, and the Nine Sun sect would lose a chance to gradually rise. Curse you! Curse you! Curse you! Not far away from the people from the Nine Sun sect, the beauty in white, Qin Yashuang, had her eyes closed. She had a pious look on her face, and she was chanting. It was obvious that she was cursing Lan Shuyan, so that he would not be able to step onto the 20th floor. Qin Yashuang had been cursing like this for 4 hours. Miss, your curse seems to be effective. Finally, when the sun rose, the beauty in purple, Zisu, who was beside her, murmured. This sentence made Qin Yashuang stop her whispering. Her eyes widened, and she raised her head to look at the holy tower. Chapter 786. The entire place became silent. As Lan Shuyan's figure flew out, countless people's hearts were moved. Qin Yashuang and Zisu's eyes instantly lit up. It seemed like the curse just now was really effective. Lan Shuyan's failure on the 19th level meant that he was not qualified to become the Flame Emperor's personal disciple. Even if he was just a little bit off, a failure was a failure. Everyone only had one chance to participate in the 5 Emperors' illusion realm. There was no chance. Lan Shuyan floated dispiritedly in midair after being sent flying. His expression was extremely ugly. He was so close. He was so close to killing that mid-Emperor realm beast. However, his body couldn't hold on any longer, and he was killed by the beast. There was no chance. Becoming a direct disciple of the Flame Emperor had always been Lan Shuyan's dream. But now, this dream had been shattered. Although the result of the 19th level was considered very good, it was nothing compared to becoming a direct disciple of the Flame Emperor. Lan Shuyan had improved a lot in the 5 Emperors' illusion realm, but he didn't achieve his final goal. Of course, he was in a bad mood. However, there seemed to be something that he could look forward to. Lan Shuyan's face was gloomy. He recovered from his disappointment and looked around. He wanted to see someone's figure. However, when he looked in that direction, he only saw Qin Yashuang and Zisu. Where's Long Yu? Lan Shuyan's expression became even worse. Even he was eliminated. That brat from the mystic realm was still inside. He turned around and saw that Long Yu was on the 15th level. He was in perfect condition, which meant that he wasn't injured at all. Lan Shuyan couldn't accept this discovery at all. Even though the 5 Emperors' illusion realm gave everyone the same opponent in terms of basic strength, the difficulty should be the same. But for those in the mystic realm, the difficulty would definitely be higher. This was because those in the mystic realm didn't have many tricks up their sleeves. It was very difficult for them to fight continuously. But now, Long Yu had actually stepped onto the 15th level and was still in the midst of the challenge. Damn it! Lan Shuyan's face was extremely gloomy as he returned to the Nine Suns sect crowd. His Shifu from Nine Suns sect came up to greet him and patted his shoulder. Suyin, don't be discouraged. Although you weren't able to become the Flame Emperor's direct disciple, the fact that you were able to reach the 19th layer of the 5 Emperors' illusion realm is already a very good result. This means that you are now one of the most talented people in Shunwu world. That's right, Junior Brother Lan. Right now, only Black Knife and Yi Ziwei are still in the 5 Emperors' illusion world. It's already very impressive that you're only second to them. The others are all inferior to you. A senior brother from a Nine Sons sect walked over and comforted Lan Xuyin as well. Long Yu is still inside, Lan Xuyin said with an unpleasant expression. So what if he's inside? The elder brother from the Nine Sons sect laughed heartily. It's been a day and a night, and he's only reached the 15th level. He's already been on the 14th level for 6 to 8 hours. Do you really think he can go any further? That's right. Lan Xuyin's master nodded and said faintly, it's already very impressive for a kid in the Theurgy secret realm to be able to reach this step. However, that guy dared to bet with you. The final winner will definitely be you. Even if you come out now, you'll only be on the 19th level. This result is impossible for him to achieve no matter what. Don't worry. Junior brother Lan, although you didn't become the personal disciple of the Flame Emperor this time, there are still many benefits. Not to mention the breakthrough in your martial techniques and divine powers. You can also obtain a special crystal of the Emperor realm. With this crystal, you can step into the peak of the King realm. In the competition of the strongest King realm 2 years later, there will definitely be a place for you in the top 10. You can even try to get first place. The senior brother from a Nine Sons sect said with a smile. That's right, Xuyin. From now on, you can put your mind on the competition of the strongest King realm. If you can become the first place in the strongest King realm, the reward given by the 5 emperors will make anyone jealous. Lan Xuyin's master said with a smile. Lan Xuyin himself didn't say anything. Instead, he returned to his seat and focused on the results of the 5 emperors' illusion realm on the sacred tower. After a day and night, only 3 people were still fighting in the 5 emperors' illusion realm. Long Yu was on the 15th floor. Black Knife and Yi Ziwei were both on the 23rd floor. Black Knife and Yi Ziwei were already the personal disciples of one of the 5 emperors. It was natural that they could achieve such results. No one doubted the foresight of the 2 great emperors, the Lei Emperor and the Demon Emperor. However, many people were surprised that Long Yu could survive until now. Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao, the 2 holders of the Red Emperor's token, were eliminated on the 15th floor. This result wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. The 2 of them stood at the side, frowning as they looked at the sacred tower, paying attention to Long Yu's results. If there are no accidents, that kid will be eliminated on the 15th floor. Xiao Xinghai said faintly, I don't believe that a kid in the 5 divine realms can surpass me. Before coming to the holy city of the 5 emperors, Xiao Xinghai had always been a top genius near his birthplace. Now that he had come to the holy city of the 5 emperors, although he knew that he wouldn't be number 1 anymore, he couldn't be surpassed by a kid in the 5 divine realms, right? Yin Wenyao nodded and narrowed his eyes. Indeed, but the longer one stays in the 5 emperors' illusion realm, the greater the improvement of one's martial techniques and divine powers. From his point of view, we have already lost to this kid. So what? Xiao Xinghai snorted coldly. That was only in the 5 Emperor Fantasy realms. If he left the 5 Emperor Fantasy realms, he would only be a brat in the Divine Ability realm. I could crush him with one hand. Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao were already king stage, late stage powerhouses. Their martial Dao talent was definitely not as good as Lan Xuyin's, but it was already considered very good. Even if Long Yu could kill a beast in the king stage mid-stage in the 5 Emperors illusion realm, so what? In the face of a beast in the king stage mid-stage, Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao could indeed crush it with one hand. Their cultivation was much stronger than Long Yu's, and their basic strength was dozens of times worse. Of course, they wouldn't take Long Yu seriously. He seems to be quite a bit older than us, said Muchun. Yin Wenyao chuckled and said, if he is really talented in martial Dao, how can he only have this little cultivation? Most likely he had some fortuitous encounter that allowed him to fight above his level. In terms of martial Dao talent, he is still a weakling. Xiao Xinghai nodded. He had the same thoughts as Yin Wenyao. If he couldn't step into the king stage in his 20s, what future could he have? Outside the sacred tower, in a restaurant, the Qin family's master and second elder looked at each other, both feeling a bit regretful. It's a pity that Lan Shuyin couldn't step into the 20th floor and can't become the Flame Emperor's personal disciple. But it's not a big deal. Even so, his martial Dao talent is still one of the best in the entire Shenwu world. In the future, he can at least become an elder of the Nine Suns sect. If he chooses to join the alliance of 5 emperors, when he steps into the Emperor realm, he has a high chance of becoming an elder. The two of them talked and nodded. No matter what, Lan Shuyin's martial Dao talent was there for all to see. Even if he couldn't become the Flame Emperor's personal disciple, his future achievements wouldn't be bad. For the entire Qin family, this was naturally beneficial. However, the two of them seemed to have forgotten that Long Yu was still fighting in the illusion world of the 5 emperors. If Long Yu can surpass Lan Shuyin and step into the 20th floor, then Qin Yishuang and Zi Su will follow Long Yu and won't need to marry Lan Shuyin. The bet made in the Sacred Tower, not to mention the Nine Suns sect, even the 6 sects and 10 countries wouldn't be able to renege on it. As long as Long Yu succeeds, the Qin family and Nine Suns sect will have nothing to do with each other. Of course, for the Qin family's master and second elder, although they didn't know what method Long Yu was using to stall for time, it was impossible for him to step into the 20th floor. Right now, there were only a few spectators around the Sacred Tower. Most of them had already left. Of those who stayed, 99% wanted to see how many floors Blackblade and Yi Ziwei could reach and what level they could reach. From there, they could estimate their future achievements. Peak geniuses like Blackblade and Yi Ziwei were existences that could change the entire Shenwu world. Everyone wanted to get the most accurate information as soon as possible so they could decide how to get in touch with these two in the future. As for Long Yu, there were only a small portion of people who were still paying attention to him. And the majority of this small portion of people were just curious. They want to know how much longer Long Yu could drag on. Only Qin Yishuang and Zisu's hearts were beating wildly. To the two of them, Long Yu's performance would decide their fate. How could they not be nervous? Senior Long, you must do your best. After Qin Yishuang ended her curse on Lan Shuyin, she quickly began to bless Long Yu. Although this was useless, it was the only thing she could do right now. The illusion world of the 5 emperors. The 15th floor. Long Yu is currently facing 2 special beasts of the wood god race that were at the 6th Daos Transcendent Realm. Furthermore, it was similar to the battle on the 13th level. You want to fight with numbers? I'm sorry. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly as he condensed 5 desolate ancient shadows. 3 of them charged towards one of the wood god race's special beasts, while the other 2 charged towards the other. They used all sorts of methods to entangle the 2 beasts. As for Long Yu himself, he did not immediately take action. Instead, he controlled the 5 desolate ancient phantoms and began to condense the fallen dark star with him. The 5 desolate ancient phantom shadows and Long Yu worked together to condense fallen dark stars. And in just a few breaths of time, they had condensed more than 200 fallen dark stars. Because they had to block the attacks of the 2 beasts, more than 20 fallen dark stars were destroyed, but there were still 200 left. It's about time, star explosion. With a snap of Long Yu's fingers, 200 fallen dark stars instantly exploded, almost blasting the entire space into smithereens. As for the 2 special beasts, although they had used defensive methods, they were unable to withstand the power of the fallen dark stars. They were directly blasted into ashes, and they didn't even have the time to self-destruct before they completely dissipated from the world. The 16th floor. Chapter 787. On the 16th level, a lofty mountain appeared before Long Yu. It towered into the clouds, and its peak couldn't be seen. Umbra Eye. Long Yu executed his 4th divine ability. The Umbra Eye appeared on his forehead, and a shapeless force of perception swept out towards the surroundings and enveloped the entire lofty mountain. A flight restriction domain has actually been set up on this mountain, and it's impossible to fly up it. There are 3,000 steps all the way to the top of the mountain, and I have to walk up these 3,000 steps. With the help of the Umbra Eye, Long Yu quickly figured out the situation on this level, and then he strode towards the steps at the foot of the mountain. The steps on the mountain path were extremely steep, and he had to jump every single step forward. It twisted and turned as he walked towards the top of the mountain that towered into the clouds. Bang! Long Yu had only taken 10 steps when an enormous rock the size of a house appeared out of thin air above him, and it smashed down towards where he stood. Ninth Hell Dragon Breath. Explode. Long Yu's expression turned serious. As soon as he spoke, the energy of the ninth Hell Divine characters condensed into a pitch-black dragon breath, and then it charged directly towards the enormous rock and was barely able to shatter it into pieces. This enormous rock is completely condensed from the energy of the Earth Elemental characters, but I haven't found the source of its energy, nor have I sensed the existence of any cosmos beasts. Long Yu thought in his heart, if there are no cosmos beasts, then wouldn't I be able to cultivate the Dubhe energy drawing technique here with peace of mind? When he thought up to here, Long Yu instantly stopped moving, and he didn't move for now. However, he didn't rashly start cultivating the Dubhe energy drawing technique, and he just waited and saw what happened. Sure enough, it was just as Long Yu had guessed. Even if he stopped on the spot without moving, an enormous rock still smashed down towards him after 10 breaths of time. If I want to climb up this mountain, then I must shatter these enormous rocks. Moreover, if I'm not wrong, then the speed at which these enormous rocks descend will grow faster and faster. Otherwise, this level would be meaningless to cultivators at the intermediate stage of the King Realm. I must pass through it as soon as possible. After coming to this conclusion, Long Yu didn't dare to stay on the spot. He strode forward and quickly ran up the mountain along the steps. Every 10 breaths of time, a boulder would descend from the sky and smash towards Long Yu. And Long Yu could only rely on the fallen Dark Star's star explosion to detonate these boulders in advance, or he would be smashed to death. Even on these steps, Long Yu couldn't use any movement martial skills. It seemed like the requirement of this level was to reach the summit under the bombardment of the boulders. This was nothing to Long Yu. Although he hadn't stepped into the mid-stage King Realm, he could continuously use the fallen Dark Star and activate the star explosion to completely shatter those boulders. Long hell, I long heaven, he, and ping fallen, you and fallen, Long Yu rejoiced in his heart. It was simply impossible to defend against the falling boulders by relying on defense alone. The only thing he could do was to shatter the boulders before they reached him. Furthermore, Long Yu did not have any offensive methods that he could use continuously. Fortunately, he had the fallen Dark Star's star explosion. Long Yu moved forward step by step. After advancing about 500 steps, the speed at which the boulders fell increased. Every 8 breaths of time, a boulder would fall. As Long Yu approached the summit, the boulders fell faster and faster. Half an hour later, when Long Yu stepped on the 2,500th step, a boulder fell from the sky every time. Even if Long Yu could constantly use the fallen Dark Star and star explosion, he couldn't help but feel a little flustered at this moment. Explode, explode, explode. Long Yu continued to condense fallen Dark Stars and use star explosion. Occasionally, he would use 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath, trying to break through to the intermediate level. But obviously, it would take a lot of time for 9 Underworld's Dragon Breath to break through again. As Long Yu used it more and more, the speed at which he condensed fallen Dark Stars became faster and faster. Every breath, he could condense 15 fallen Dark Stars, and if he detonated them at the same time, he could even shatter several boulders. At the same time, his comprehension of the fallen Dark Star martial skill was also rapidly improving. The last 100 steps, Long Yu raised his head and saw the peak of the mountain towering into the clouds. There was also a spherical building on the peak of the mountain. At a glance, one could tell that it was a fortress of the Earth God race. Shadow eyes can't see through it, so I can't see what's inside. Long Yu became vigilant at the last 100 steps. The boulders kept falling from above, making it impossible for him to stop. He could only rush straight towards the Earth God race fortress. The last step. Long Yu took a step forward and firmly stepped onto the summit of the entire towering mountain. What made him feel uneasy was that when he reached the summit, the boulders falling from above not only didn't stop, but were instead getting faster and faster. In a breath's time, two boulders smashed towards him at twice the speed. Moreover, an initial stage King Realm variant beast from the Earth God clan charged out from the Earth God clan's fortress in front of them. Two winged blades stretched out from its spherical body, and they were condensed with the energy of dense earth elemental divine markings as they tore through space towards Long Yu. I can't be careless, desolate shadow. In an instant, Long Yu condensed 5 desolate shadow clones and had them condense fallen dark stars above his head, detonating them one by one to ensure that the boulders wouldn't hit Long Yu. Even if Long Yu cultivated the dead state body tempering technique, once he was hit by any of the boulders, he would die and be eliminated. As for Long Yu himself, he directly condensed 9 nether divine runes and displayed 9 nether hand toward the Earth God race strange beast that was rushing towards him. A white bone arm suddenly appeared from the void, grabbed the 2 wing blades of the Earth God race strange beast, and then smashed it towards the ground in the distance. Bang! After a loud bang, the 9 nether divine runes that had quietly infiltrated the strange beast's body through 9 nether hand exploded, blowing the Earth God race strange beast into pieces. However, in the next moment, 2 Earth God race strange beasts rushed out from the Earth God race fortress, and their first target was still Long Yu. Long Yu raised his hand and killed these 2 strange beasts with 9 nether explosions. But then 3 more strange beasts rushed out from the Earth God race fortress. 1, 2, 3 more and more. I must destroy the Earth God race fortress. Long Yu's heart thumped, knowing that he couldn't persist indefinitely. He had to completely destroy the Earth God race fortress before he could no longer hold on. To achieve this, Long Yu could only rely on fallen dark stars, and he needed to explode at least 500 fallen dark stars in a row. These 500 fallen dark stars could be condensed from the desolate phantom shadows. After making up his mind, Long Yu immediately took action, urging 2 of the desolate phantom shadows to resist the 3 Earth God race strange beasts that rushed out. He didn't need them to kill the enemy. He just needed them to block them. As for Long Yu himself, he had to deal with the boulders that were falling faster and faster above his head, and the remaining 3 desolate phantom shadows began to condense fallen dark stars as quickly as possible, surrounding the Earth God race's fortress and continuously accumulating their number. What surprised Long Yu was that upon seeing this scene, the 3 Earth God clan strange beasts that were blocked by his desolate ancient shadow actually turn around and try to shatter the fallen dark stars. Unfortunately, they were too weak, and the number of fallen dark stars they destroyed was less than the number of fallen dark stars they reformed. The strange beasts in the 5 Emperors illusion world also seem to have some intelligence, but it's not too obvious, Long Yu thought to himself, letting the 2 desolate phantom shadows that were resisting the strange beasts also start condensing fallen dark stars. When the Earth God race fortress was surrounded by 600 fallen dark stars, Long Yu finally made up his mind to activate the star explosion. A series of explosions came from the battlefield, and then the entire towering mountain collapsed. However, Long Yu couldn't see the shocking scene that followed, because when he destroyed the Earth God race fortress, he had already set foot on the 17th floor. The opponent on the 17th floor was a special fire god race strange beast with 7 divine realms. Like the previous special beasts, its strength wasn't suppressed at all. A strange beast of this level was considered an extremely powerful existence among strange beasts. Unfortunately, this strange beast still hadn't stepped into the King Realm. Without the blessing of the Heart Realm, its basic strength was only 3 to 5 times stronger than Long Yu's. With such a small gap, Long Yu could easily make up for it with his powerful martial skills and the 9 nether divine text at the origin level. Fallen Dark Star explode. Long Yu still used the same move. He wanted to set foot on a higher floor as soon as possible, find a safe place to cultivate, and then improve the W Chi channeling realm. As for his other martial skills and divine powers, they had improved very quickly in battle. Long Yu believed that the harvest in the Five Emperors illusion world this time would not disappoint him. Countless fallen dark stars were condensed by Long Yu again. Anyway, in the Five Emperors illusion world, his strength wouldn't be consumed, so Long Yu didn't need to think about anything else and directly condensed fallen dark stars. This ancient transcendent rank martial skill, whether it was defense or attack, was an extremely tyrannical existence. However, if it was used as an offensive martial skill, the consumption was a bit too high. But in the Five Emperors illusion world, was there a need to consider consumption? No need. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Long Yu dealt with this special fire god Ray strange beast and set foot on the 18th floor. In the outside world, near the sacred tower, everyone saw that Long Yu had set foot on the 18th floor in such a short time, and their expressions were very bad. The most important thing was that Long Yu was still in a state of unscathed. Miss, there's hope. Senior Long hasn't been injured yet. Maybe he can really surpass Lan Shuyan. In her seat, Zisu was very surprised. She pulled Qin Yashuang's white and tender arm and jumped up and down. One could see how excited she was. Qin Yashuang's mood wasn't much different from Zisu's. She was extremely excited, but she temporarily restrained herself and didn't jump up and down like Zisu. Senior Long, you can do it. Qin Yashuang's eyes were even glistening with tears. Could it be that the heavens really couldn't bear for her to marry Lan Shuyan? So they sent such a genius to save her? Compared to the excitement of the two women, the expressions of the people in the Nine Suns sect were completely different. 18th floor. Unscathed. Chapter 788. The hundreds of people from the Nine Suns sect were still here. Originally, they wanted to see how high Black Knife and Yi Ziwei could reach, but they did not expect to see Long Yu directly step onto the 10th level. Both of them were also holders of the Red Emperor's token. When they saw that Long Yu actually stepped onto the 15th level, their faces darkened and looked extremely ugly. They had been surpassed. In fact, when Long Yu was unscathed on the 16th level, the two of them did not look too good. When Long Yu stepped onto the 18th level unscathed, the two of them did not even want to say a word. This was too frustrating. A mere kid in the Divine Secret Realm had actually stepped onto the 18th level unscathed, while the two of them, who were at the later stage of the King Realm, had been eliminated at the 15th level. This was undoubtedly a strong mockery. Now, the two of them were most concerned about whether Long Yu could step onto the 20th level. Once he stepped onto the 20th level, the difference would be like heaven and earth. He would become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, not to mention the abundant cultivation resources. Most importantly, he would obtain many martial arts techniques, divine chains, and various other means. In that case, even if Long Yu's talent was not comparable to Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao's, he would eventually become stronger than the two of them. Whether or not he could step onto the 20th level was the key to everyone's life. Of course, this was what Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao thought. In fact, to Long Yu, whether or not he could become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor was not particularly important. It was only after he was threatened by the previous emperor of the Taiwu Empire, the Taiwu Abyss, that Long Yu wanted to become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. In any case, there were only benefits and no disadvantages, so why not? Now, in the entire illusion dimension of the Five Emperors, only 3 people were still fighting. Apart from Lan Shuyan, the others had been eliminated before the 18th level. Now, everyone was paying attention to Long Yu, Black Knife, and Yi Ziwei. They wanted to see how far the 3 of them could go. If Long Yu wasn't able to step onto the 20th level, then he would become the target of all the major powers. Without a doubt, the 6 sects and 10 nations, these colossal existences, would all want to obtain the services of a genius like Long Yu. Although Long Yu was only at the 5 Dao's divine power realm, he only needed enough heaven and earth spiritual chi to raise his martial realm, but his talent in the martial way was hard to measure. Perhaps Long Yu was born in a small place and did not have enough cultivation resources. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to only be at the 5-path divinity realm, many people thought. Most importantly, Even the Taiwu Empire wanted to recruit Long Yu. It was easy to imagine that if they could obtain Long Yu's loyalty, it would only be beneficial to the various great forces. 24th floor. Suddenly, the sacred tower flashed. This time, the strongest of the 5 emperors' illusion dimension, Black Knife, finally leaped up and set foot on the 24th floor. Everyone suddenly remembered that a few months ago, a female disciple of the Red Emperor named Yu Hanxin took 3 days and 3 nights to set foot on the 28th floor. Then, she was eliminated on the 28th floor. She was already one of the strongest in the past 10 years. Now, how many floors could Black Knife and Yi Ziwei reach? Everyone was waiting to see what would happen. On the 18th floor, Long Yu was fighting against a large group of Wood God Clan strange beasts. Each of the strange beasts was at the early stage of the King Realm. Moreover, in the distance of an ice field, there was a huge hexagonal ice crystal building. It was the Ice God Clan's fortress. Just like the previous floor, the Ice God Clan's fortress must be destroyed on this floor to be able to pass. He could only kill his way through. The early stage of the King Realm, Ice God Clan strange beasts covered the ice field. Long Yu's figure shuttled through them. Merak Star Shadow. Shadow Release. Soon, Long Yu was much closer to the Ice God Clan's fortress. Star Explosion. With a thought in Long Yu's mind, hundreds of fallen dark stars floating behind him exploded in an instant. Hundreds of Ice God Clan strange beasts were completely killed, leaving no bones behind. However, in front of him, on the way to the Ice God Clan's fortress, there were more Ice God Clan strange beasts. There were so many of them that it was almost innumerable. If a cultivator at the intermediate stage of the King Realm came to this floor, he could quickly clean up this sea of strange beasts by constantly using his strongest martial arts or magic power, without consuming any energy. But for Long Yu, the only effective way to attack frequently was the star explosion of the fallen dark stars. So although it seemed to be very powerful, it was only based on the foundation of the 5 Emperors' fantasy realm. If it was in the outside world, this move would not be so invincible. At least, it would not allow Long Yu to easily fight 100 people or even kill any of the strange beasts. If it were other cultivators who had not stepped into the intermediate stage of the King Realm, it was basically impossible for them to come here because they did not have the means to attack frequently. In the 5 Emperors' fantasy realm, although using martial arts and magic power did not consume energy, it would still make the tendons and meridians tired. Without stepping into the intermediate stage of the King Realm, one could not use the same method continuously. Even if one used multiple methods alternately, how long could one last? Long Yu flew forward and soon arrived in front of the Ice God Clan's fortress. He began to condense fallen dark stars at an extremely fast speed, and then urged the fallen dark stars to surround the Ice God Clan's fortress. He could sense that the thousands of imprisoned Ice God exotic beasts were attacking the Dark Star body with all their might. However, the Dark Star body was extremely sturdy and did not waver in the slightest. It even surpassed the defense of the Dragon Bone Tower. One had to know that the ancient Dragon Bone Tower was only a great desolate level warrior. Chapter 789. The strength of the Dark Star imprisonment exceeded Long Yu's expectations. Originally, Long Yu thought that it would only take a few breaths for the Dark Star imprisonment to be broken by those furious Ice God Clan exotic beasts, but in fact, the Dark Star imprisonment lasted for a full 20 breaths. It's amazing. Long Yu couldn't help but feel a little excited. It was indeed an ancient transcendent martial skill. Its defensive ability was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. Moreover, this was not just a simple defense, but also imprisonment. If it was the same defensive strength as the Earth Elemental Defense Wall or the Light Shield Wall, if the Ice God Clan exotic beasts wanted to come out, they could easily escape by activating the power of the Space Divine Rune. But this Dark Star imprisonment was an imprisonment. In the Dark Star imprisonment, all perception, exploration, and space power were imprisoned. Even Long Yu himself could only feel that the Dark Star was being attacked from the inside, but he could not perceive the specific situation with balance control. Even the detection of balance control and dark shadow were blocked by the Dark Star imprisonment. After 20 breaths, the Dark Star was finally broken by the joint efforts of thousands of Ice God Clan's exotic beasts. But at this time, Long Yu had already condensed 200 to 300 fallen Dark Stars and surrounded the Ice God Clan's fortress. Almost there, star explosion. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up, and the fallen Dark Stars exploded one after another, causing a chain reaction. The Ice God Clan fortress was directly blown to pieces by Long Yu. Fortunately, the exotic beast fortresses in the Five Emperors fantasy world are not reinforced by the divine rune crystals. Otherwise, they would not be broken in any way. Long Yu shook his head. He blinked, and when he opened his eyes again, he saw a Wood God Clan exotic beast. Countless green vines intertwined with each other, and in a vast jungle, the dense woods directly became the best camouflage for the Wood God Clan exotic beast. Middle stage King Realm. Finally here? Seeing this, Long Yu chuckled, and the Eye of Shadow directly spread out to investigate. He found that this dense forest was not very large, and in the entire dense forest, there was only one Wood God Clan beast at the middle stage of the King Realm. Besides the fact that one's basic strength was 3 to 5 times stronger than an initial stage King Realm cultivator, the most important thing about a cultivator at the intermediate stage of the King Realm was that they were able to execute a certain technique without limit, and their attacks were endless. Just as Long Yu appeared, that exotic beast launched a fierce attack at Long Yu. Wood God's Whip. These words seemed to flash through Long Yu's mind. Then, he discovered that all around him, even in the sky above his head and the ground below his feet, there were vines formed from pure Wood elemental divine characters that were rushing towards him. They brought with them a terrifying airflow that seemed to tear apart the entire space. Fallen Dark Star. Long Yu immediately condensed 10 fallen Dark Stars and urged them to fly towards one of the Wood God's whips. However, to Long Yu's surprise, as soon as the two sides collided, the 10 fallen Dark Stars were directly shattered. So strong. Facing attacks from all directions, Long Yu couldn't defend himself with just the fallen Dark Stars alone, so he could only use Merak Star Shadow as quickly as possible. His whole body appeared 1,000 feet away, and the place where he was originally standing was directly cut into countless pieces by the Wood God's Whip, dissipating into the dense forest. Before long, Yu could even stand firm. He discovered that the Wood God's Whip was attacking him from all directions again, leaving him with no time to react. Just dodging was useless. So Long Yu subconsciously urged the Book of Shadows and transformed himself into an early-stage King Realm Ice God Clan exotic beast. Pooh! 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 The Wood God's Whip mercilessly lashed out towards Long Yu. In fact, it was even more ferocious than when it was facing Long Yu, causing Long Yu to jump up in fright. He hurriedly reverted back to his original form and used the Dark Star imprisonment on himself. Due to the urgency of time, Long Yu could only condense a little bit of 9 Nether Divine text power, so the Dark Star could only cover his whole body. The next moment, dozens of Wood God's whips slammed on the surface of the Dark Star, causing the entire Dark Star to tremble, but in the end, it resisted. Dark Star imprisonment can only last for 3 breaths of time at most. I have to think of a way. Long Yu's heartbeat accelerated. He knew that this mid-stage King Realm exotic beast in front of him was the strongest opponent he had ever encountered, stronger than anyone he had faced before. Soon, 3 breaths of time passed. Under the continuous lashes of the Wood God's Whip, the entire Dark Star was smashed into pieces. However, after the Dark Star was smashed, Long Yu's figure was nowhere to be seen. The mid-stage King Realm Wood God Clan exotic beast in the center of the dense forest seemed a little surprised. It couldn't figure out how Long Yu disappeared. That defensive method should also seal the surrounding space at the same time. Right, invisibility. The Wood God Clan exotic beast only thought for a moment, and then a burst of Wood Element Divine text power spread around, directly finding Long Yu, who was hiding on the side, and the wood god's whip lashed at him again. Sure enough, even divine concealment can be discovered. In that case, let's try shadow incarnation. Long Yu directly canceled divine concealment, and then his whole body turned into a shadow, completely blending into the uneven shadows of the dense forest, completely disappearing from the detection of the Wood God clan exotic beast. Long Yu's shadow incarnation allowed him to smoothly escape from the heavily guarded city of Desolate God, not to mention that the exotic beast in front of him was only at the mid-stage king realm. The dense forest suddenly became quiet, and only the sha-sha sound of the wind blowing the leaves could be heard. The Wood God clan exotic beast was on the highest level of vigilance. Even though its martial arts realm was much stronger than Long Yu's, it was also very vigilant to ensure that it would not suffer any accidents. Spatial penetration. Shadow kill technique. Long Yu and his sword separated, activating the void nether dragon blade to attack from the front, while he himself turned into a shadow blade, appearing behind the exotic beast, launching a pincer attack. Bang! A wood god's whip appeared, directly knocking the void nether dragon blade away. It was not that the void nether dragon blade was too weak, but that the opponent was too strong. The mid-stage king realm exotic beast, whether it was perception or speed, was much stronger than Long Yu. If Long Yu was also at the mid-stage king realm, perhaps with a void nether dragon blade in hand, he could directly kill this exotic beast, but the gap between his current basic strength and the opponent's was too big. Pooh! Pooh! Immediately after, the wood god's whip lashed out twice, directly destroying the shadow blade that appeared behind the exotic beast, breaking it into 4 pieces. Fortunately, that was only the ancient shadow condensed by Long Yu. If he himself had launched a sneak attack, he would probably have died. However, Long Yu's attacks did not stop at all. One after another, fallen dark stars appeared around the body of the wood god race's strange beast. At the same time, Nine Nether's Hand, Nether Pattern Spiral, and Soul Seal Siphon were all displayed at the same time, targeting the wood god race strange beast. The wood god's whip quickly waved, destroying all 3 at almost the same time. However, the exotic beast did not realize that there was still a wisp of 9 nether divine text that had quietly entered its body. Moreover, because it had destroyed 2 of Long Yu's sealing abilities and the Phantom Spiral, in just an instant, hundreds of fallen dark stars had appeared around it. When Long Yu launched a sneak attack, he condensed 5 ancient shadows. One of the ancient desolate shadows that had launched a sneak attack on the back of the exotic beast were directly shattered, but the other 4 ancient desolate shadows immediately began to condense fallen dark stars. Coupled with Long Yu's own body, hundreds of fallen dark stars had surrounded the exotic beast. Star Explosion. Long Yu did not hesitate to activate the Star Explosion. Although the power of the explosion would be greater if he condensed more fallen dark stars, he knew that the other party would not give him enough time to condense them. The wood god's whip was everywhere, and it could easily destroy dozens of fallen dark stars. So once the other party found time to attack, Long Yu had to immediately activate the Star Explosion. At the critical moment, the wood god race exotic beast condensed all over its body, forming a wall of vines around its body that quickly thickened and stacked on top of each other. The power of over 100 fallen dark stars had directly blown up the entire jungle to smithereens. The tyrannical shockwave created a strong wind that blew all the tree fragments away, forming a vacuum in the jungle with a radius of several dozen meters. Shwa! 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 The jungle was destroyed, and the shadow that Long Yu had transformed into appeared alone on the bare ground. Suddenly exposed, it attracted the attention of several wood gods' whip. "I've been discovered," Long Yu's heart trembled. As expected of a mid-stage king realm exotic beast, even the explosion of hundreds of fallen dark stars could not kill it. The difficulty of this battle was somewhat beyond imagination. Shadow Evasion. Long Yu directly used this move, and his figure instantly flew forward hundreds of meters, just enough to circle half a circle around the center of the explosion. Then he saw that after the smoke and dust from the explosion gradually dissipated, the wood god race exotic beast was indeed injured, but the injury was not serious, and it did not even weaken its combat effectiveness at all. The wood god's whip immediately followed. And just at this time, the power of the 9 nether divine characters that had quietly infiltrated the exotic beast's body through the 9 nether hand finally erupted. The wood god's whip that was sweeping towards Long Yu paused for a moment, and Long Yu seized this opportunity to open his mouth and spit out a 9 nether dragon breath. Finally, at this moment, facing a powerful mid-stage king realm exotic beast, Long Yu's divine ability had a breakthrough. High-grade divine ability. The 9 nether dragon breath, this powerful offensive method, had finally stepped into the level of the 7th heaven and become a high-grade divine ability. In Long Yu's Dantian, the divine ability fruit that represented the 9 nether dragon breath changed from a curled-up 9 nether dragon to a stretched 9 nether dragon, and its momentum suddenly changed. This 9 nether dragon breath is the true dragon breath of the 9 nether dragon, and it can burn and destroy everything. Long Yu was shocked by the 9 nether dragon breath that he spat out. After this move became a high-grade divine ability, the power of this move was actually 10 times stronger than before. 10 times stronger. It should be known that the difference in the basic strength between the early stage and the mid-stage king realm was only 3 to 5 times. The breakthrough of Long Yu's 9 nether dragon breath had actually increased its power by 10 times. If this move could be said to be able to easily annihilate an early-stage king realm exotic beast before, then this high-grade divine ability could easily annihilate a mid-stage king realm exotic beast now. Not to mention that it just so happened that the 9 nether divine characters hidden in the exotic beast's body erupted at this moment, causing it to be slightly overwhelmed. Under the attacks from both inside and outside, this mid-stage king realm exotic beast of the Wood God clan was completely incinerated by the 9 nether dragon breath and burned into pitch-black ashes. The 20th level, the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. Chapter 790. When Long Yu killed the Wood God race beast that was at the middle stage of the King Realm and stepped onto the 20th floor, everyone who was watching from the surroundings of the Sacred Tower was shocked. A new personal disciple of the 5 Emperors. Although that kid only had the cultivation of 5 Daos, since he had become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, then his cultivation would definitely increase much faster in the future. When the 5 Emperors accepted a disciple, why did they only look at talent and not cultivation level? It was because the 5 Emperors had cultivation resources that normal people couldn't imagine. Once they became the personal disciple of the 5 Emperors, they wouldn't need to worry about cultivation resources at all. Not only that, they could also learn some of the 5 Emperors' exclusive and powerful martial techniques. It was said that they even had the legendary ancient martial techniques. Why were the 5 Emperors so strong? In fact, in the entire Shenwu world, there are quite a few peak Emperors, at least 100 of them. But the 5 Emperors are without a doubt the strongest, and that's because they have ancient martial skills. Long Yu knew that the reason why the 5 Emperors were so strong was definitely not because of ancient ranked martial skills. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, ancient ranked martial skills were already the most terrifying existence. They could not imagine that there were other more tyrannical methods. Damn it! In the 9 Sons sect, Lan Xuyin stood up and cursed in his heart. From the moment Long Yu stepped onto the 19th level, Lan Xuyin had been very nervous. But even so, he didn't see Long Yu get hurt. He was unharmed. In just the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Long Yu defeated the beast on the 19th level and stepped onto the 20th level, completing a feat that even Lan Xuyin couldn't. The personal disciple of the Red Emperor. Now, forget about Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. Forget about the special crystal of the Emperor realm. Lan Xuyin should be worried about his future. If Long Yu wasn't able to ascend to the 20th level, Lan Shuyan only needed to join the Five Emperors Alliance, and he would similarly become an existence stronger than Long Yu. After all, he was a late-stage immortal king realm cultivator, while Long Yu was only at the Five Taoist divine realm. But now, Long Yu had directly become the personal disciple of the Scarlet Emperor, and the cultivation resources, martial skills, divine chains, and other things he had obtained far surpassed Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan thought in his heart, if he exchanged his identity with Long Yu, then after he became stronger, he would definitely not let go of the stumbling block from back then. He felt that if Long Yu grew up, he would definitely attack him, so he felt a sense of urgency. Not a single person in the Nine Suns sect said anything. Even Lan Shuyan's master wanted to offer some words of comfort, but didn't know what to say. What Lan Shuyan needed now was definitely not comfort. Fine, Suyan's path has always been too smooth. It's going to give him a little setback this time. I hope it can stimulate him to work harder on the path of cultivation, Lan Shuyan's master thought. As for Lan Shuyan's fellow disciples from the Nine Suns sect, they were all dumbstruck. They looked up in disbelief at the news that Long Yu had stepped onto the 20th level, unable to utter a single word. Not long ago, they were still praising Lan Shuyan and belittling Long Yu in all sorts of ways. They were planning to reap some benefits from Lan Shuyan after he obtained the Emperor Realm Special Crystal. But now, they knew that their plans had completely failed. Everything vanished in a thin air the moment Long Yu stepped onto the 20th level. On the other side, Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao, who were also bearers of the Red Emperor's token, were also shocked. Long Yu, the Divinity Realm kid that they looked down on, had actually stepped onto the 20th level of the Five Emperors Illusion Realm, and would become the Red Emperor's personal disciple. How is that guy qualified? Xiao Xinghai and Yin Wenyao looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. How could a mere Five Tao Divinity Realm kid be qualified to become the Red Emperor's personal disciple? It was too shocking. Deep jealousy emerged from the depths of their hearts. That was the Red Emperor's personal disciple. They were already considered geniuses in their original empires, but they still could not become the Red Emperor's personal disciple. In fact, in the Five Emperors Illusion Realm, both of them were eliminated at the 15th level. It was obvious that they still had a long way to go before reaching the 20th level. Was there such a huge gap? The two of them did not believe that they would be so much worse than the Divinity Realm Long Yu. However, when the truth was placed in front of them, they had no choice but to believe it. More and more cultivators gathered around the sacred tower. Although night was coming soon, more and more people were attracted by the news of Long Yu stepping onto the 20th level. How glorious was it to be the personal disciple of the Five Emperors? One had to know that the total number of personal disciples of the Five Emperors did not exceed 50 people. Every year, only one or two personal disciples of the Five Emperors were born. A few months ago, Yu Hanxin stepped onto the 28th level and was already in the late-stage Emperor realm at the age of 20. She was as amazing as the current Black Blade and Yi Ziwei. And before the storm of Yu Hanxin becoming the personal disciple of the Red Emperor had passed, another Long Yu appeared. A great emperor receiving two personal disciples in a year was something that was rarely seen in the last 100 years. But now it was happening right in front of their eyes. When Long Yu was still lingering around the 18th and 19th level, many forces were thinking of recruiting Long Yu into their own forces after the Illusion Realm battle of the Five Emperors was over. With enough cultivation resources, they would definitely be able to move this young man who was only in the Five Taoist Divinity Realm. But when he stepped onto the 20th level, no force dared to have any ideas about him. The personal disciple of the Red Emperor, who would give up such a noble identity and future to join some other force or organization. Even the 6 sects and 10 countries couldn't compare to the alliance of 5 emperors. To everyone, the 5 emperors were the strongest in the entire Shenwu world. Becoming a personal disciple meant that one could become one of the new generation of 5 emperors. Although the possibility of that was still very small, at least it was much better than joining the 6 sects and 10 countries. Every direct disciple of the five emperors was absolutely outstanding, and they would definitely be the strongest martial cultivators who could step into the emperor realm in the future. When they saw Long Yu step onto the 20th level, the Qin family was completely dumbfounded. That kid became the personal disciple of the Red Emperor? Unbelievable. That means that Lan Shuyan of the Nine Sun sect lost. The second elder of the Qin family spoke in a low voice, but this isn't a bad thing for our Qin family. The stakes of Long Yu and Lan Shuyan's bet were the Emperor Realm's special crystal body on one side and the young miss and her maid Zisu on the other. Now that Long Yu had won, it meant that both of them belonged to Long Yu. Since young miss is Long Yu's person, and Long Yu is the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. That's right. The Qin family master was a bit depressed at first, but after hearing the second elder's words, he immediately understood and his eyes lit up. That's right. Long Yu becoming the personal disciple of the Red Emperor is a good thing for us. My daughter seems to like this Long Yu a lot, and Long Yu is willing to take out the Emperor Realm special crystal to fight for my daughter. It's clear that they love each other. It's better than our one-sided marriage of Yishuang to Lan Shuyan. As soon as the patriarch said this, all of the Qin clan's members' eyes lit up. That's right. Although they had lost the backing of the Nine Sun sect, the Qin family now had the support of a true personal disciple of the Red Emperor. Which one had more potential, the personal disciple of the Red Emperor or the Nine Sun sect? Without a doubt, it was the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. This discovery made the faces of everyone in the Qin family become incomparably radiant, and they smiled from ear to ear. Very soon, a large group of people from the Gongsun clan heard the news and rushed over. When they saw the words Long Yu, 20th level, and scathed with their own eyes, they felt even worse. One of the Gongsun family elders was a bit nervous, but he finally made up his mind and asked the master of the Gongsun family. Long Yu seems to be entangled with the eldest miss of the Qin family. If that's the case, shouldn't we return the 800,000 Shinbi we demanded from Qin family? The master of the Gongsun family's face was dark. Did a pig bite your head off? Return it to the Qin family? Bullshit. If we're going to return it to that Long Yu, you idiot. After saying that, the master of the Gongsun family found a private room in a nearby hotel and carefully observed the situation in the sanctum through the window. He had missed the scene of Long Yu ascending to the 20th floor, and he couldn't afford to miss anymore. He had to know how monstrous Long Yu was. The number of floors Long Yu could ascend represented Long Yu's future potential. The better the result, the more treasures the master of the Gongsun family would give to Long Yu. The 800,000 Shinbi he had taken from the Qin family couldn't be kept. He had to return it to Long Yu. As for how much more he had to pay, that would depend on how far Long Yu could go. Inside the walls of the sanctum, in the Su Medicine Hall, which Su Ningguang narrowed her eyes when she saw Long Yu ascend to the 20th floor. She chuckled and said, "This kid is really surprising. I didn't expect the young miss of the Qin family to have such good foresight. She followed the right person this time. Even Lan Shuyan of the Nine Suns sect lost to him. That kid was probably just lucky." Behind Su Ningguang, the white-haired swordsman Su Jianbai didn't look very happy. I also passed the illusion world of the five emperors when I was in the middle stage of the King Realm. On the 19th floor, there was an early stage Emperor Realm beast. I was sent flying in just a few moves. This kid, not necessarily. You can't judge a book by its cover. His cultivation is low now because of his poor background. Now that he has become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, his path of martial Dao will be smooth from now on. Su Ningguang said indifferently, "After everything here is over, come with me to meet him. We can also give him the gift of the Su Medicine Hall." Yes. Su Jianbai didn't dare to refute Su Ningguang's decision. He could only agree unhappily. On the other side, the Lin merchant firm and one of the other three great merchant firms all made the same decision as Su Ningguang. Lin Ruizai, in particular, had long wanted to visit Long Yu after the illusion world of the five emperors ended. He didn't expect that Long Yu would actually ascend to the 20th floor. This shocked him greatly. This person can take out the special crystal of the Emperor realm. It is very likely that he is related to Wang Tai from before. Lin Ruizai made up his mind to visit Long Yu. Since it was a visit, he naturally couldn't go empty-handed. Chapter 791. High above the sacred tower, above the clouds. The Holy Emperor and the Red Emperor's chief disciples, Qi Tianming and Xing Fa, clinked glasses with laughter. As expected, Master's eyes are unique. You can tell how strong this kid is at a glance. Xing Fa laughed heartily, although he was filled with the aura of death, as if he had just returned from the battlefield. He still made people feel close to him when he laughed. Congratulations, we have another junior brother. Qi Tianming took a sip of wine. He did not feel jealous and just smiled. There was competition between the 5 emperors, but it was more about cooperation. The stronger the 5 emperors and their disciples were, the easier it would be for them to do certain things. This was good for Qi Tianming. According to tradition, when a new junior brother or sister enters the sect, we, as the senior brothers, have to give them some gifts. Xing Fa said with interest, Tianming, what do you think Long Yu needs the most right now? Not a martial technique, not a divine ability, and not a divine chain. Qi Tianming chuckled. He was able to defeat a powerful King Realm mid-stage exotic beast with 5 divine realm cultivation. So the martial techniques and divine abilities he cultivated must not be weak. What we gave might not even be comparable to them. Since that's the case, of course we have to give him some pills and the like. After all, his greatest weakness is that his martial realm is too low. Really? Xing Fa shook his head and said thoughtfully, before the battle, Long Yu took out a special crystal to bet with Lan Shuyan. In my opinion, he won't lack cultivation resources. That's right. Then what should we give him? Qi Tianming came to a realization and thought of this point. The pure spirit energy contained within a special Emperor Realm crystal was 5 times that of a mid-ancient rank pill. If Long Yu had a treasure of this level, then why would he be lacking in cultivation resources? Perhaps Long Yu lacked cultivation resources in the past, causing his martial realm to be slower. But now, he definitely didn't lack them. So what should they give? I'll just casually give you some. After all, we're brothers of the same sect. However, Tianming, you're different. As Xing Fa drank, he smiled and patted Qi Tianming's shoulder. You are representing your master to send the gift. The gift represents your master, the Holy Emperor. If junior brother doesn't like it, then? Qi Tianming's face darkened at the thought of this. Black Saber and Yi Ziwei are enough for me. Now, there's also Long Yu. Sigh. Qi Tianming felt like his head was about to explode. Giving gifts? Probably no one would have thought that the dignified chief disciple of the Saint Emperor would actually be troubled by something like this. Long Yu didn't know that he was about to receive a lot of gifts. In fact, he felt that he was not lacking anything at the moment. Of course, it would be better if he had more special supreme grade pills, but it did not matter if he did not have them, as it would not affect his cultivation. What he was most concerned about now was how long he could stay in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors. This was a big problem, because when he stepped onto the 20th level, he found that what appeared in front of him was a mutated beast from the Fire God race. It was at the early stage King realm, but it was a special mutated beast, slightly different from ordinary early stage King realm mutated beasts. This shouldn't have been a problem, but the key problem was that Long Yu discovered that when he used all kinds of martial arts and divine abilities to fight against this Fire God race beast, his comprehension speed wasn't as fast as before. After carefully studying for a while, Long Yu was shocked to find that the entire illusion realm of the 5 emperors seemed to be decreasing. In the beginning, there were at least 10 million illusion realms, which increased the cultivator's cultivation speed by at least 1,000 times. But now, when Long Yu stepped onto the 20th level, he found that the number of illusion realms was decreasing. Now, there are only more than 800 illusion realms left in the 5 Emperors illusion realm, which means that it can increase my cultivation speed by more than 800 times. Although it's already a lot, compared to before, it's still a little weak. Long Yu frowned and fought with the mutated beast from the fire god race. He kept condensing fallen dark stars, but he found that the mutated beast from the fire god race was giving him a lot of pressure. At the same time, some magma pillars were constantly erupting from the surrounding craters, blasting towards Long Yu. He could only dodge and did not dare to face them head-on. The opponent was not very strong, but it was still very troublesome. The environment was the biggest problem. The longer Long Yu stayed on this level, the faster and fiercer the magma pillars spewed from the crater not far away, making it hard for him to dodge, even with the Merak footwork. As the magma pillars erupted faster and faster, Long Yu's Merak footwork finally achieved a breakthrough, reaching the pinnacle. After comprehending the Merak footwork to the pinnacle, Long Yu could draw the power of the Merak stars to cover his whole body, reducing the resistance he encountered when breaking through space, allowing him to teleport faster and more frequently. If Long Yu could teleport 10 feet away in a breath by relying on the Merak footwork, then now, Long Yu could teleport twice in a breath, and he could teleport 20 feet away each time for a total of 40 feet. In other words, Long Yu's flexibility had directly increased by 4 times. Originally, it was becoming more and more difficult for Long Yu to avoid the magma pillars that were erupting more and more frequently, but when he broke through to the pinnacle of the Merak footwork, it suddenly became a lot easier. As expected of a Grand Desolate level martial skill, the effect is really good. Long Yu was overjoyed. The Merak Star Force possession brought him more than just this little benefit. Even if he used any other teleportation method, he could increase the teleportation distance and reduce the energy consumption. It might not have a big impact on Long Yu now, but when Long Yu mastered the power of the space attribute Divine Rune, the effect of the Merak Star Force possession would be very obvious. When the magma pillars didn't pose any threat to Long Yu, it was much easier to deal with an early King Realm Fire God race exotic beast. Even if the other party was a special exotic beast, it was impossible for it to be Long Yu's opponent. Fallen dark stars continued to condense, and the star explosion continued to be activated. The entire vicinity of the volcano seemed to have become a battlefield. Hand of Nine Nether, Soul Seal Rainbow, Dragon Breath of Nine Nether. Long Yu constantly used various magical skills in order to quickly comprehend and improve his cultivation in the phantom world of the 5 Emperors. Soon, he felt that his understanding of the Hand of Nine Nether had reached a critical point, and he would be able to break through to a high-level magical skill after using it 1 or 2 more times. But at this moment, he suddenly found that the scene in front of him had changed. It turned out that he had accidentally killed the special exotic beast of the Fire God clan after using all kinds of means. The explosion of stars burst out one after another, and the opponent at the early stage of the King Realm couldn't bear it at all. Even the special exotic beast couldn't resist it after displaying several defensive means and was completely turned into ashes. The 21st floor, and it's still a Fire God race exotic beast? Long Yu raised his head and looked around. What entered his eyes was a sea of fire, but he didn't see the existence of the Fire God race exotic beast. He used the Eye of Shadows and constantly used this magical skill. This magical skill finally broke through to the 5th level, but it only improved the detection effect a little and didn't increase the detection range again. The range he could detect was still only 100 miles. 2 different environments? Long Yu continued to explore with the Eye of Shadows and found that the space on the 21st floor of the 5 Emperors Phantom World was actually connected to 2 different environments. Where he was, it was a sea of fire, and 10 miles away, it had turned into a piece of ice. Not too far away from where the 2 completely different terrains of ice and sea of fire converged, there were 2 different cosmos beasts resting. One was a fire god beast, the other was an ice god beast, and both of them were at the intermediate stage of the King Realm. Sure enough, the difficulty has increased greatly. But for me, it might not be too difficult. As soon as Long Yu saw this scene, he began to think. The 2 intermediate King Realm exotic beasts weren't far from each other. If he dealt with one of them, would the other attack? He didn't know. Most of the cultivators who came to participate in the Five Emperors Phantom World didn't know much about exotic beasts. No one knew the relationship between the Ice God race exotic beasts and the Fire God race exotic beasts. However, Long Yu had heard about this from the Death Envoy. The Ice God race, the Fire God race, the Earth God race, and the Wood God race didn't have a friendly relationship with each other. Under normal circumstances, they were hostile to each other. They would only form temporary alliances when their interests were related. This was the reason why when Long Yu suddenly disguised himself as the Ice God race exotic beast when he was dealing with the Intermediate King Realm Wood God race exotic beast, he was attacked even more fiercely. And the conflict between the Ice God race and the Fire God race was even more serious. Let's give it a try first. Long Yu's heart stirred. He stealthily used divine concealment and hid behind a huge flaming rock not far from the two exotic beasts. He condensed an ancient afterimage, then used the Book of Shadows to disguise himself as an early-stage king realm Ice God clan exotic beast. He walked towards the Sea of Fire, condensed an ice arrow, and attacked the exotic beast from the Fire God clan. Then, the disguised Ice God race exotic beast turned around and ran to the ice field on the other side. Soon, the two Intermediate King Realm exotic beasts discovered the little guy who suddenly appeared. The Fire God race exotic beast was naturally extremely angry. It opened its mouth and spewed out a violent fire column. Long Yu's ancient shadow, which was disguised as the Ice God race exotic beast, had no time to react at all. He was enveloped by the fire column and directly turned into ashes, leaving no trace. As expected, this scene infuriated the Ice God clan exotic beast. Separated by a completely different environment, the two Intermediate King Realm exotic beasts suddenly fought fiercely. Flames and ice, two opposite divine characters of power, intertwined with each other, melting the ice field and extinguishing the flames. The temperature in the field fluctuated. Even Long Yu, who was hiding at the side, couldn't stand it. The cold air was close to absolute zero. The flames were as high as thousands of degrees. Even the ground in the field was completely melted and then sublimated into gas. This was the power of an expert in the Intermediate King realm. In this regard, Long Yu had already seen it. What he cared about now was which of the two exotic beasts would die first. Even he didn't expect that a small trick would provoke the conflict between the two exotic beasts and cause them to fight fiercely. After the time it took to burn an incense stick, the Ice God race exotic beast was roasted into a pool of liquid by the flames, and the flames on the Fire God race exotic beast were also flickering. Obviously, they were about to be extinguished. Chapter 792. Long Yu did not directly deal with the dying Fire God clan beast. Instead, he openly ran to the ice field. The Fire God clan beast, who was now seriously injured, could not come to the ice field to fight with Long Yu. Long Yu only needed to condense the ancient desolate afterimage and let the ancient desolate afterimage guard in the middle. Then, he could create a safe cultivation environment for him alone. Long Yu had been looking for time to cultivate Qi channeling. This martial art technique was very important for his future cultivation. He must cultivate it to a high enough state while he was still in the Five Emperors' illusion realm. Long Yu walked to the ice field, more than 20 miles away from the Sea of Fire. Then, he condensed 5 ancient desolate afterimages and ordered them to patrol nearby. Then, Long Yu began to cultivate Qi channeling. The Fire God clan beast should know of my existence now, but it is seriously injured. It definitely won't dare to trouble me. At least, it needs to recover to its peak state before it dares to leave the Sea of Fire environment. Long Yu thought that the Fire God clan beast should not be very strong in terms of healing. There must be a lot of time left for him to cultivate. Now, the speed of comprehending martial arts techniques and magical powers is only 700 times faster. As soon as Long Yu began to cultivate, he frowned slightly. He thought for a while, and guess what kind of situation it was? The Five Emperors' illusion realm is such a good cultivation holy land. Why is it not open all the time, but only once a month? There must be some restrictions. The opening of the Five Emperors' illusion realm required the unique seal of the Five Emperors and the cultivation of the Emperor realm. It could be seen that the consumption was huge. The existence of the Five Emperors' illusion realm was obviously based on some kind of array. It could be speculated that the spirit array had been absorbing the energy in the space. Every month, it could allow the Five Emperors to open the illusion realm once. After it was opened, many cultivators would enter it and activate the rapid cultivation mode of tens of thousands of illusions. Every additional layer of illusion would consume some of the energy in the Five Emperors' illusion world. Therefore, as the Five Emperors' illusion world opened to the later stages, there would be fewer and fewer illusions that could double the speed of cultivation. In the beginning, there were more than 1,000 levels, but now there were only about 700 levels left. Right, Black Blade and Yeezy Way. Long Yu squinted his eyes and thought of the two geniuses. He wondered which level they had reached. Obviously, the higher the level, the more energy the Five Emperors' illusion world would consume. In the past, there might not be one person who reached the 20th level every month. But now there were 3 of them. The energy stored in the Five Emperors' illusion world would naturally be insufficient. It seems that I have to speed up. I have to reach a higher level as soon as possible. Obviously, the higher the level of the Five Emperors' illusion world, the faster the improvement of my martial arts techniques. I can't let the 2 of them take away the energy of the Five Emperors' illusion world. Long Yu made up his mind and began to cultivate the Dubheat Chi Guide. Long Yu, 22nd level, and scathed. This achievement made many people around the Sacred Tower excited. He was on the 22nd level. How many people guessed that Long Yu was lucky to reach the 20th level? Now that he was on the 22nd level, he was still unscathed. How strong was this guy? He's almost at his limit. Someone speculated, look, Black Blade and Yeezy Way are only on the 24th level. It won't be easy for Long Yu to catch up. He might never catch up. Don't look down on him. Some people thought that he couldn't even pass the 10th level. Isn't he on the 22nd level now? I feel that this Long Yu might be able to create a miracle. No matter how powerful he is, he can't be compared to Black Blade and Yeezy Way. After all, they are the personal disciples of Demon Overlord and Lay Emperor. If Long Yu is stronger than them, the Red Emperor would have accepted him as a personal disciple long ago. Why would need to give him the Red Emperor token and let him come to the Five Emperors' illusion world to participate in the test? That's right. Anyway, I think that Long Yu can't surpass Black Blade and Yeezy Way. Their talents are too terrifying. In fact, the Red Emperor didn't expect that Long Yu would have such an achievement in the Five Emperors' illusion world. When he gave the Red Emperor token, the Red Emperor speculated that Long Yu could only reach the 15th level. After all, Long Yu's combat power wasn't very strong at that time. Also, the Red Emperor calculated that Long Yu would cultivate Migres Star Shield, Fectes Star Fist, and other great Desolate level skills. But now, before Long Yu entered the Five Emperors' illusion world, he had successfully learned the ancient martial skill, Fallen Dark Star. Then, he relied on the Five Emperors' illusion world to quickly improve this martial skill, which was why he had the current achievement. He didn't cultivate the great Desolate level offensive and defensive martial skills given by the Red Emperor at all. He only cultivated the transcendent ancient martial skill, Fallen Dark Star, given by the Death Envoy, which allowed him to take a big step forward in the Five Emperors' illusion world. Moreover, it wasn't certain which level he could reach with this big step. Look, Black Blade has reached the 25th level. Yeezy Way too. It seems that the two masters' martial arts talents aren't much different. They almost reach a higher level at the same time. I wonder which level they can reach in the end. I think these two seem to be stronger than Yu Hanshin a few months ago. It should be about the same. As for who is stronger, it's hard to say. We can only wait and see the final result. 12 hours passed, as everyone waited anxiously. On the 3rd day, the sun rose again. The crystal window, which hadn't changed for a long time, suddenly had a message change. Long Yu, 23rd level, and scathed. He went up another level. Black Blade and Yi Ziwei also set foot on the 26th level. Then, the message continued to change. It seemed that Black Blade and Yi Ziwei were running in front, while Long Yu was chasing behind. Although most people felt that it was impossible for Long Yu to catch up with Black Blade and Yi Ziwei, the situation was too similar to a chase. Moreover, Long Yu had already created a miracle by setting foot on the 20th level. Why couldn't he create a second miracle? Even if this possibility was slim, like before, such thoughts began to appear in the hearts of the surrounding hundreds of thousands of cultivators. It took root and sprouted, and there was no way to stop it from growing. In particular, every time they looked at Long Yu, it showed two words: unscathed. Even Black Blade and Yi Ziwei hadn't been able to do this. They had spent most of the day on the 23rd level, and both of them had been injured. Although they didn't know how they had recovered, they had indeed suffered minor injuries along the way. Now, Long Yu had also set foot on the 23rd level. Would he surpass them like Black Blade and Yi Ziwei, or would he be eliminated here? It would probably take a while for the answer to come out, but the situation was already extremely tense. When Qin Yashuang and Zisu saw that Long Yu had set foot on the 20th level, they had already cried tears of joy. Now that they saw Long Yu advancing courageously and setting foot on the 23rd level, they couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. How strong was Long Yu exactly? Compared to becoming the direct disciple of the Red Emperor with the result on the 20th level and the result on the 30th level, the two concepts were completely different. Not to mention the 30th level. Even if Long Yu could set foot on the 25th level, it would be considered very impressive. Although the result was the same, the feeling it gave people was different. This concerned Long Yu's future status. Do your best, Senior Long. Although they didn't need to worry about their own fate, Qin Yashuang and Zisu naturally wanted to see Long Yu obtain better results. It wasn't for anything else. It was purely to wish Long Yu well. The Five Emperors Fantasy Realm. The 23rd level. Long Yu had been cultivating the Dubby Chi Guide on the previous level. After 12 hours, he directly rushed this move from the peak to the Transcendent Realm. The Dubby Chi Guide at the peak could increase the speed of cultivation by 70% and the effect of absorbing elixirs by 30%. The Dubby Chi Guide at the Transcendent Realm could double the basic speed of cultivation. As for the effect of absorbing elixirs, it had a 60% increase. A 60% increase in the effect of elixirs. If I can cultivate the Dubby Chi Guide to the Transcendent Realm, wouldn't it increase by at least 80%? That way, taking one elixir would be equivalent to taking two. That's 2 OP. Long Yu couldn't help but be shocked. At the same time, he thought, there must be other similar skills in this world that are even more OP. But in Shenwu World, this grand, desolate, high-grade Dubby Chi Guide is already the best. It's almost impossible to get a better one for now. As for the Death Envoy, he had clearly said that the skills he knows with similar effects aren't suitable for Long Yu to cultivate. So Long Yu had already given up on that idea. Originally, Long Yu wanted to push his Dubby Chi Guide to the Transcendent Realm in one go, but unfortunately, after 12 hours of cultivation, the speed of cultivation of skills and thaumaturgies was only 400 times, causing Long Yu's cultivation efficiency to plummet. The most important thing was that the Fire God clan's beast at the intermediate stage of the King Realm had finally recovered 80% of its strength. It wanted to cause trouble for Long Yu, so Long Yu had no choice but to interrupt his Dubby Chi guiding technique. In the icy wasteland, the Fire God race monster's fighting strength is suppressed by at least 50%, so after Long Yu easily defeated it, the scenery in front of him changed, and he arrived at the 23rd floor. As soon as the scenery changed, Long Yu's heart sank. Isn't this floor a bit too difficult? The place where he appeared was actually inside a fortress of the Earth God clan's strange beast. Furthermore, through the investigation of the Umbra Eye, Long Yu discovered that this Earth God tribe's strange beast fort was a real fort. It had been reinforced with hundreds of divine rune crystals. With Long Yu's current strength, it was impossible for him to destroy the entire fort. As soon as he appeared, several beasts of the Earth God race, which were at the initial stage of the King realm, attacked Long Yu ferociously. In the Earth God race's fortress, the strength of the Earth God race's strange beasts had become extremely powerful. They were not suppressed at all. Perfect, this kind of battle can allow my skills and thaumaturgies to improve at the fastest rate. Long Yu was both surprised and happy. This floor's difficulty is very high, but it's also because of this that it's the best place to improve his skills and thaumaturgies. Chapter 793. A great battle broke out on the 23rd floor of the Five Emperors illusion world. Long Yu traversed through the interior of the Earth deity race's fortress, killing any mutated beast he encountered without holding back. He knew that he had to give it his all. Otherwise, only death awaits him within the fortress. Yang Kai mainly relied on his martial skills, Merak footwork and Fallen Dark Star, mixed in with other martial skills and divine abilities, all in order to use the multi-layered illusions of the Five Emperor fantasy worlds to cultivate and comprehend them quickly. Although there was only a 400-fold increase in cultivation speed, it was still much faster than in the outside world. He couldn't give up such an opportunity. Furthermore, due to the immense pressure Long Yu was under, every time he used his martial skill or divine ability, he could clearly feel the rapid increase in power. "Hand of Nine Nether!" Long Yu shouted, and a white bone arm shot out of the void, directly crushing an early king realm Earth God race strange beast. This magical power finally broke through to the 7th level and became a high-grade magical power. After reaching the advanced level, the Hand of Nine Underworlds was no longer just used for sealing, but had also become a means of attack. Its destructive power was not inferior to the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds of the 6th layer of heaven, and it also had a little intimidation and space-sealing effect. When facing Hand of Nine Nether, the opponent's speed of using space divine text would be affected, and the power in their body would also be slowed down. Simply put, this move was originally dispensable, but it had now become a powerful attack and control method. According to Long Yu's rough estimation, this move would play an extremely crucial role when facing an opponent at the intermediate stage of the King realm. Finally, all 3 magical powers broke through to the 7th level and became high-grade magical powers. However, at this level, it seems that the difficulty of breaking through is far greater than before. Long Yu fell a little bit. Hand of Nine Nether, Soul Seal Siphon, and Dragon Breath of Nine Nether. These 3 magical powers had all become high-grade magical powers. Then, no matter how many times he used them, his level of comprehension did not change much. Could it be that after becoming a high-grade magical power, if I want to improve it, I don't just need to cultivate and comprehend? Are there any other conditions? At that time, I will have to ask the Death Messenger. Raising his divine power to level 7 was the limit of the Five Emperors' illusion realm. It would be very difficult to raise it any further. Long Yu knew that when the innate divine power surpassed the 9th heavenly stage, it would transform into the King Dao, and that was the true symbol of a King realm expert. At first, Long Yu thought it was strange. If that was the case, then there should be quite a few people in Shenwu world who could use King's Way, but the situation now was that he had never seen anyone use it before. 9 Underworld Dragon Breath. Long Yu spat out a pitch-black dragon's breath and incinerated a beast of the Earth God clan that was sealed by the Soul Seal Siphon. Then, he turned a corner and continued to move forward. Within the fortress of the Earth God race, there were many paths that extended in all directions. Moreover, because these paths had been reinforced by divine rune crystals, Long Yu's Eye of Darkness was unable to penetrate these walls and investigate into the distance. He could only continuously advance along the paths. I wonder what the true test of this 23rd floor is. How do I pass it? Do I escape from his fortress? Or do I have to kill my way to the center of the fortress and kill the strongest beast there? Long Yu thought to himself. He wasn't very sure, but he quickly made up his mind. He would first leave this fortress, and if that didn't work, Then he would go back to the center of the fortress and kill the beast leader. In fact, Long Yu didn't even know if there was a beast leader in the center of the fortress, but if there was, then it would definitely be in the center of the fortress. Luckily, I asked the Death Messenger about the architecture of the Earth God race's fortress. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to find the way out. Long Yu was a bit glad that the Death Messenger was very familiar with the other beasts, which also provided Long Yu with the biggest guarantee to quickly pass the 23rd floor. According to the architectural style of the Earth God race's fortress, Long Yu quickly circled along the paths that extended in all directions. Then, he soon discovered that the number of Earth God beasts that appeared in front of him was decreasing, and their strength was also getting weaker. Beasts at the middle stage of the King Realm had not appeared for a long time. Not long after, Long Yu saw a bright light in front of him, and it seemed that he had reached the exit. Fallen Dark Star, after stepping into the Consummate Realm, is now sprinting towards the Transcendent Realm. It's about halfway there. Long Yu calculated in his heart as he stepped out of the exit of the Earth God race's fortress. The next moment, the scene in front of him suddenly changed, and he appeared on a vast ice field. Obviously, he had stepped onto the next floor, the 24th floor of the fantasy world of the Five Emperors. Throughout the entire 23rd floor, Long Yu only spent more than an hour in it, and his speed was several times faster than Black Knife and Yeezy Wei. All of this was due to Long Yu's familiarity with the Earth God race's fortress, but this was not the only benefit. It should be noted that most of Long Yu's martial arts skills could only be improved through battles, and this was the biggest effect of the fantasy world of the Five Emperors. Long Yu quickly passed through the 23rd floor, but his own understanding of martial arts skills did not improve much. He could only look forward to the more intense battles waiting for him on the next few floors. The 24th floor was an ice field. Long Yu used the Eye of Shadow, and his perception spread out to the surroundings. Soon, he discovered that there were 7 ice god race beasts at the middle stage of the King Realm under this ice field, and each of them was in a dormant state, sleeping in the ice layer. If I want to pass this floor, the only way is to kill these 7 beasts at the middle stage of the King Realm. However, if 7 beasts at the middle stage of the King Realm attack me together, I will definitely die. Long Yu frowned slightly, thought for a while, and then smiled. Now that there was no opponent, wasn't it just the right time for him to practice the Dubhi Chi channeling? This was an excellent opportunity. Long Yu didn't think too much about it. He directly sat down on the ice field and began to cultivate the Dubhi Chi drawing technique. Now, every time he cultivated, there would be a faint layer of starlight. It was as if a soft veil was sprinkled over his body, causing his entire body to emit a faint blue light. This was the power of the Dubhi Chi channeling, which could improve the basic speed of a cultivator's cultivation, and the effect of taking pills and other natural treasures would also be enhanced. However, he didn't practice in peace for long. It seemed that the power of the Dubhi Chi channeling had disturbed the beast's dormancy. After the nearby ice field trembled, the beast at the middle stage of the King Realm broke out of the ice and rushed toward Long Yu. Ice divine characters covered the sky and the earth, and various forms of ice divine characters surrounded Long Yu, as if they wanted to bury Long Yu in the ice and snow. Dark Star Imprisonment. Long Yu directly used this method, and a dark star was produced in an instant, covering his whole body. Then there was a roar, and the attack of the Ice God race beast hit the surface of the dark star, directly smashing the whole dark star. However, those attacks were blocked by Long Yu, and the next moment, dozens of fallen dark stars quietly appeared, violently exploding next to the Ice God race beast. Star Explosion. The fierce battle with the King Realm mid-stage beast began again. Now, Long Yu didn't seek speed, but stability, and in a stable battle, he wanted to promote the cultivation of the Merak Steps and Fallen Dark Star. The martial skills he could still improve now were mainly the Merak Steps and Fallen Dark Star. These 3 magic powers had stepped into the 7th level, and it was difficult to improve them further. As for the other 2 innate magic powers, it was also quite difficult to improve them. The Eye of Shadow was now at the 5th level, and Long Yu always kept the Eye of Shadow open to observe the surrounding scene. So this move was constantly improving, and it was not far from the 6th level. As for the Book of Shadow, this was the magic power that Long Yu couldn't understand the most. How could this move be improved? Constantly scanning other things or constantly pretending to be something else? Either way, Long Yu felt that the improvement of this magic power was minimal, and he didn't know the fastest way to improve this magic power. The outside world, the Sacred Tower. When Long Yu stepped onto the 24th level, many cultivators who were still watching were speechless. This Long Yu really didn't seem to be weak. One had to know that even Black Knife and Yi Ziwei were stuck on the 23rd level for several hours, but Long Yu only spent a little more than 2 hours to pass. Could it be that this Long Yu was really stronger than Black Knife and Yi Ziwei? The 27th level, many people exclaimed, and then everyone saw that Black Knife and Yi Ziwei had stepped onto the 27th level. Now, it had been nearly 3 days and 3 nights since the opening of the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, which meant that Black Knife and Yi Ziwei's achievements were not much different from Yuan Xin's. After a full 3 days and 3 nights, Black Knife and Yi Ziwei finally stepped onto the 28th level, and then they were bounced out of the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, which attracted everyone's attention. Regardless of whether it was Black Knife or Yi Ziwei, they could be said to be God's favored ones. Before they could pass the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, they had already been discovered by Demon Emperor and Lei Emperor, and they were directly accepted as personal disciples. Now, it seemed that the strength of these two was indeed extraordinary. On the 28th level, they achieved the same achievement as the genius Yuan Xin not long ago. They were peerless geniuses. Originally, the two of them thought that when they came out of the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, there would definitely be countless people cheering for them. After all, wasn't it always like this in the past? However, when they came out of the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, they realized that the surrounding people didn't make any sound. Instead, the entire place was dead silent. What happened? The two of them subconsciously looked up at the top of the Sacred Tower, and the 3 lines of information directly shocked them. Long Yu, 27th level, unscathed. Black Knife, 28th level, failed. Yi Ziwei, 28th level, failed. How could this be possible? Black Knife and Yi Ziwei's expressions changed. Now, 3 days and 3 nights had passed, and even they had been defeated from the 28th level, unable to advance any further. However, at this time, there was actually someone in the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm, and his footsteps were following closely behind them, 27th level, unscathed. 28th level, this kid will definitely lose. Black Knife's face didn't have the slightest emotion. He just took a look at the information on the top of the Sacred Tower and then walked to the side to rest. He wanted to properly digest what he had learned in the past 3 days. The battle in the 5 Emperors Illusion Realm had greatly improved him, and his strength had greatly increased. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.